Welcome, everybody. The passion of FCS football here in Missoula. I'm Brent Musburger. A pleasure to welcome my colleague Jesse Palmer and Maria Taylor to the great state of Montana.
You know, you've been speaking so highly about it now for a year. We finally had to make our way here. We weren't lying, partner, because this is one of the most beautiful parts of the country. It's been great.
Let's start off with this dynasty from Fargo, North Dakota. What a record.
North Dakota State is the definition of a dynasty. And like most championship programs, when you lose senior starters, you lose NFL talent, you just reload. No difference this year for the Bison. Offensively, experienced, balanced. They have a future NFL quarterback in Carson Wentz, number 11. Defensively, where the inexperience will show up. 6 new starters playing today, a lot of them getting their first start. But what a challenge coming into this hostile environment to start their quest for an unprecedented 5th straight national championship.
Well, you mentioned Carson, and for more on their star quarterback, let's go down below to Maria Taylor.
You know, Brent, Carson Wentz went from an NFL draft prospect that was teetering on making it to a top-tier prospect. Mel Kiper has him as one of the top 3 quarterbacks. That is a senior entering the season, and he's also had 10 to 13 scouts already visit Fargo for practices. Now, Carson said he expected to go through the season under the radar, but what's happened is everyone knows his name. He's using it as his competitive advantage, guys, and starting with this game.
All right, Maria. And now coming out of the tunnel, they'll be welcomed by this sellout crowd. Their new head coach, Bob Stitt, and here come the Grizz. Well, Jesse, we've got a chance now to introduce the Grizz new coach, Bob Stitt. Football folks know him as kind of a mad scientist with the offense.
He's known as being an offensive innovator, maybe a little bit unconventional, but he loves to play at an extremely fast tempo. And he's got a 6'7" junior quarterback in Brady Gustafson making his first start today. Very strong arm, can make all the throws. Not just people in the state of Montana, people all throughout the FCS. Very curious to see what this new Bob Stitt offense here at Montana looks like against the 4-time defending champs.
Well, Bob Stitt and the Grizz won the toss, and they have deferred. And if you see a little haze on your screen, folks, don't adjust your TV sets. The fires that have roared across the western and the northwestern part of the United States have poured smoke into western Montana. Thousands of fires being battled in Washington, Idaho, up around Glacier Park. And for the last 2 weeks, the smoke has settled over this stadium. Jesse, I can't remember a game in which I've had a 6'6" quarterback and a 6'7" quarterback.
He's got 2 giraffes. I mean, you're usually calling these heights when you're in the basketball season over in the Big 12.
Exactly. So the Bison, they will receive, and there is Chris Kleiman, their outstanding coach. He replaced Craig Bowl last year, moved up from defensive coordinator. All he did was record the 4th consecutive FCS championship. Welcome to college football 2015. Eric Perkins takes a knee, and so we will see Carson Wentz, 6'6", 235. He is from Bismarck, North Dakota, and he replaced a legend in Brock Jensen, who guided them to 3 of those championships. And then all Wentz did is drive them to the winning touchdown last year, and he was voted the championship game's MVP. So here's our first look, Jess.
He's the total package. Great size, tremendous arm strength. He can run a lot of different ways. He can stress a defense.
Frazier, who has replaced Crockett as one of the running backs, gets the first call, and the Grizz jumping with the middle of that defensive front.
We're talking a lot about Carson Wentz, Brent, but the identity of North Dakota State on offense is to run the football. There's a tremendous challenge for this Montana Grizzly defense and their front seven to be able to control the running game, win on first down, try and set up second, third, and long, and get off the field.
They did just that. They won first down. Second down and 7. And Vince goes back in the gun. 5 receivers spread across the field. Will they test that secondary early? Yes, they will. Snapped off to the inside to the 35. Just short of the first down, however. That's Zach Vraw, his favorite target. He had some injury problems last year. So he has the first reception of this season. And now comes the third down.
To see how loud it is. You can feel how loud it is in the stadium. Carson Wentz screaming at his teammates in the huddle just to get the play call out.
The fullback 30 turns around to relay the change. Sear is your lead blocker. That's exactly what he does, and they pick up the first down. Credit the fullback that time. Led the point of attack.
One thing this team loves to do is pull offensive linemen. They'll pull tackles, guards, and centers here on the front side around this way, leading in from behind with the fullback. It's big boy football, north-south. North Dakota State able to keep this drive alive.
A little bit of an undersized Grizz defensive line. Big weight advantage for North Dakota State. Now, Morlock is your running back, single back. 2 tight end. We'll see a lot of it. They're going to throw again. Wentz has great time. Sideline, caught for another first down at midfield. He hits Urzendowski.
Urzendowski, the true sophomore outside. This is a really good route. He sells this as if it's going to be a go route straight down the field. The very last second, putting his foot in the ground. Great quicks, getting back to the sideline. It's a good job protecting the throw as well by Wentz, putting that only where number 16 can make the play.
Vince had great time. The offensive line with protection inside that pocket. He's completed 2 passes in a row. H-back moves over to the left side of the formation. Another power look, and here they come. That's Bruce Anderson. They're going to use 4 running backs, the Bison are. He is a freshman from the state of Florida.
And Brent, if there's one play that defines this offense, it's that play you just saw there. It's that power look, pulling a backside guard, getting an extra 300-pound body at the point of attack, and running downhill. They will run that against a 3-down look versus 4 D linemen versus 15 D linemen. They will force you to stop it. And if you can't, they've proven in the past they will run it over and over and over.
Austin Kunert, the center, number 75. You saw him lead that big O-line up. Joe Haig, 59, the left tackle. Wentz again with time. Snaps off, still another completion. Now, the one thing to keep in mind, when you're up against a fast-paced, high-octane offense, if you control the clock, as the Bison did last year in beating the Grizz in Fargo, you keep the ball out of their hands. That is what North Dakota State is doing against the defense right now. Here is your third down and short. Another one. Back in the gun. King Frazier back in as the running back. Vince on a keeper for a first down, and the clock continues to work in North Dakota State's favor. Jesse, just what they plan to do. Just what you said, big boy football.
Yeah, systematic, and there's a lot of different ways they can do it, Brent. They can turn around and hand the football off conventionally to running backs. They give fly sweeps to receivers, but don't sleep on 6'6", 230-pound quarterback Carson Wentz. He's dangerous with his legs, especially on third down.
Keeps it, goes long. Is that interference? Yes, it is. He was holding him down around the 10-yard line. That flag thrown in the direction of Nelson. on the corner. That was an easy flag to throw.
Well, the Bison came out and they had a play action look, trying to take a shot down the field. It was true freshman Dimitri Williams, number 4 in the slot, who you're going to see break free. And I'm not so sure that wasn't a bad penalty to take if you're J.R. Nelson. Had he not tugged on the jersey, that might have been a walk-in score.
The spot was bad at the beginning, so the ball is brought back to the 27-yard line. They had spotted it down around the 22 originally. So this will be first down after the penalty. Another play fake. Got a man open. Touchdown, North Dakota State. Rolls in with Chase Morlock coming out of the backfield. And he was wide open the last 5 yards.
The running game opening up the passing game early for Carson Wentz in this offense, and not just completions, but explosive play opportunities. What an impressive drive by the 4-time defending national champions here in a hostile environment to start this game.
Ben LeCompte, their All-American punter, he'll handle the kicking duties, and he slaps the first extra point between the posts. The drive for 5 underway in Missoula. A textbook drive orchestrated by Carson Wentz, 4 of 4 for 52 yards and the touchdown pass of 27 yards. And you know, Coach Kleiman told us, Jesse, in our conversations that normally pro scouts come around late in the season. Maybe they look for some of his effort guys, maybe special team. Last year they had a great defensive end. But he said all summer, scouts have been making their way to Fargo. They have been studying Carson Wentz. If you can get a quarterback who goes 6'6" and can move like he does, the NFL is very, very interesting.
Showed a lot of that off on that first drive, didn't it?
LeCompte's kickoff, a couple yards deep in the end zone. Counts comes out. Going to be well short of the 20. So here comes Coach Stitz. High-powered offense, but first let's take a look at this touchdown throw.
It's that power football that opened this up. They're pulling a guard. They're bringing a running back this way, and the whole defense flows to the left, and that leaves their running back, Chase Morlock, lined up as a tight end to run the wheel route. Wide open. Some success running the football early, but these first down throws off of play action opened up beautifully for explosive plays down the field. It doesn't get much easier than that.
Now remember, the Grizz will go without a huddle. Grizz fans watching are not accustomed to that. Brady Gustafson from Billings completes his first pass over the middle. He's looking over to the sideline. He's already got the signal. Offensive line will move up. He'll give it to him. Hand signals to the wide receivers. What Bob Stitt wants is 50 snaps in the first half. 50, think about that. But he's got to have the football. Slipping is John Wynn, and the penalty flags come throwing. I think there was a face mask penalty.
I think so too, Brent. I think it was on defensive end, number 96, Greg Menard.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense. 15 yards, automatic touchdown.
Watch for number 96 here. Does a good job getting in the backfield. That's just too easy to call. Grabs the face mask, completely twisted. It's amazing that Wynn was able to stay on his feet. Bonus yards for Montana on this drive now, putting them closer to the middle of the field.
So it's first down and 10 from the 39-yard line. Gustafson fired wide open and little high, but Wynn should have had it.
It's one he should have caught. I like the play calling right now by head coach Bob Stitt. Brent trying to get Gustafson in his first start comfortable with easy throws that he sees well, feels good about, just trying to get him comfortable and into a rhythm.
So it's second down and 10. Play action and the swing pass to the receiver coming around out to the 45. Nakarado, Chase Nakarado was the receiver. He worked from the right side formation to the left.
You see how quickly Montana gets set up again. It's not an overly complex formational offense. They only have 2 formations, so it's easy for everybody to get lined up quickly once they get the call from Gustafson.
The corners show a little press on the outside. Gustafson, he's free to change when he takes a look at the D. Throwing for the first down into traffic. Incomplete. No flag. Allison working at that corner instead of C.J. Smith.
Now we talked
makes
about
the play.
Bob Stitt being a bit unconventional. He loves going for it on 4th down, especially in this area of the field. It doesn't matter that they're in their own territory, but they thought anywhere beyond their own 40-yard line, if it was 4th and manageable, they would go.
Blitz. Gustafson, incomplete. North Dakota State football.
It's like a timing miscommunication between the quarterback Gustafson and his wide receiver Jones. The gamble does not pay off, and they give Wentz and the Bison football back in their own territory.
The 2015 FCS Kickoff is brought to you by the United States Marine Corps, the few, the proud, the Marines.
Forget the smoke. It's tailgate time in Missoula. The Grizz are playing on a Saturday. Get there early. But I note that North Dakota State has been able to get their hands on tickets. As I look around this stadium, they were able to buy more than their quota. First down and 10. The Bison with the ball again. They lead at 7-0. They show that power formation with the fullback. Play action. Vince is perfect. Why not? Goes for the end zone. Incomplete. Overthrew the target. But that was a way to do it. Here's Adowski breaking free. A little bit coverage down in there. Don't throw it short. This quarterback is impressive.
I like the play call by offensive coordinator Tim Polasek, Brent. Keeping your foot on the pedal. You've just got the ball back after a 4th down. Didn't work out for Montana in their own territory. Stay aggressive in a sudden change situation. Take a shot. And it's something they didn't do that often last year, throwing it deep down the field.
2nd and 10 from the Grizz 45. Back with the power running game, not much doing that time. That's going to put them in 3rd and long, and that's what Ty Gregoric's defense has to do, is keep this high-powered offense in 3rd and long if they're to have any chance at all. And folks, if you want to see an outstanding offensive lineman, Joe Haig, number 59, is the left tackle for the Bison. He's from Lakeshore, Minnesota, and he is a good one. Coach Gregoric on the sideline. Wants to stop him here on 3rd and 7. Hit on the release, incomplete. For the first time today, there is pressure on the quarterback by Montana, and that was Tyrone Holmes getting to the quarterback as he threw it.
He's an extremely physical player in his 4th year as a senior. You're going to see him come from the right side of your screen. He just beat the right tackle mano-a-mano, gets a good, clean hit on Carson Wentz. Great job by Montana's defense, forcing a 3-and-out after their offense left them in a precarious situation.
So here's LeCompte, the All-American. We get a chance to watch him. He'll try to bury the Grizz down inside the 10. Win is deep. Hangs it high. Fair catch is a signal, and he got him inside the 15, however. Good-looking football team from Fargo, North Dakota. They do a lot of little things very well.
How cool is this play again? And another Tavon Austin touchdown. I mean, you talk about creativity This is the third time, Ron. I know it.
The guys are still trying to figure out that one play. What is that?
My good friend Bob Stead at Colorado School of the Mines gave me that.
All right, all you coaches, we clinic out at the Colorado School of Mines.
That was West Virginia coach Dana Holgerson after the Mountaineers lit up Clemson 70-33 in an Orange Bowl, and it was Stitt who designed that play. 15 years at the Colorado School of Mines, he had him flip it instead of hand it off, and so the birth of the fly sweep. Gustafson back on first down, chucks a completion in underneath to Jamal Jones, one of the captains this year and one of the outstanding receivers.
He's a guy that has to touch the football. He's a preseason second-team All-American, a guy that can line up both inside and outside. He's an explosive play waiting to happen.
They hand off against the motion, and they find a crease. Now to the 27, John Wynn, the ball carrier that time. So at least that will give them a little bit of third and short look.
And they will run the football in this game if they feel there's only 5 or 6 players in the box like there are right now for North Dakota State. They're going to take what the defense gives them.
Ready. And a beautiful, beautiful play that time by the Grizz as Gustafson keeps it, not known as a runner, but what a ball fake.
Everybody in this stadium, including myself, thought John Wynn was tackled in the backfield. Great job with his mechanics.
And they're coming hard right now with the run game. Wynn breaks a tackle out to the 48-yard line, and the crowd coming back alive.
Wynn is difficult to bring down. Only 5'7", 180 pounds, but that low center of gravity, extremely quick, can cut on a dime. He's giving this Bison defense fits right now.
The defense can't substitute on the Bison side as long as the offense doesn't. They're freezing him. Gustafson goes up with the play call now. The wide receivers with hand signals. Drops off a screen, a one-man screen. Another first down coming down the sideline. And Stitt's offense is moving. John Wynn again.
I think it makes this offense so much more difficult to defend and dangerous when you have a running back that has hands like John Wynn does. There's so many different ways they can attack the perimeter of the field when you've got a running back like Wynn who's as versatile as he is.
Joey Counts into the backfield for the Grizz after that 19-yard gain. First down, across North Dakota State's 35. Gustafson with time, not a well-thrown ball, so it'll be second down and 10. Another running back, Counts was the target, and the play is already signaled in to Gustafson.
Now, I think this is their 6th or 7th play on this drive, and that's the goal for this offense, to get to 7 plays on a drive. That's when they feel like the defense really starts to tire down, and those 3 and 4 and 5 yard gains become bigger chunk plays offensively.
Josh Horner from Great Falls, one of the wide receivers in the slot to the right. Motion coming around again. Gustafson downfield, got a target across the 5-yard line. It'll be Josh Horner, who just checked in. We referred to him. He's out of a terrific high school program, C.M. Russell. They go fast after the 31-yard gain. Gustafson with a hand signal to the wide man. They stack on the left side. And a whistle.
False start. 21 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That was Counts. That brings it back now to the 7-yard line.
Let's go back to that throw a second ago, Brent. Brady Gustafson showing you that NFL-type arm strength and the touch, putting it over top of linebackers, throwing that NFL seam route. Beautiful.
This time the Grizz stack 3 to the left. Gustafson looks in that direction, then fires in underneath for the touchdown. Beautiful to Jamal Jones, who broke open underneath the stack. The Stitt era is underway in Missoula.
Tremendous drive and answer by this Grizzly offense. Brady Gustafson looked good, looked dialed in. They spread the football around to different playmakers, and that tempo, wow, you see how fast these guys get lined up and go. This is a new era of offensive football here under head coach Bob Stitt.
Senior kicker Daniel Sullivan from Mill Creek, Washington. nails the extra point.
Nice job. It's really nice when you have a 6'7" quarterback that can see the field. A lot of bodies in his face, but he puts it up beautifully right in front of Jamal Jones, and we got a tie ball game in the FCS kickoff.
So the young man from Billings, Montana, who went to West High School, leads the Grizz down the field. And what a relief for him after a couple of shaky decisions.
In his first start, Brent, you can't talk about what that last drive and his success will do for his confidence now as this game goes on. This is a huge, big game atmosphere for a native kid from the state of Montana to play in his first start.
Return it from the 2-yard line is Perkins. Big gap. Out to the 30-yard line, checking down below with Maria.
After Montana's first offensive drive, the message from Bob Stitt to Brady Gustafson was be more decisive and get the ball out quick. Guys, after they scored that touchdown, the first thing he says was, "That's my boy." That's what I needed to see from you from the beginning. And every single offensive player came and tapped Brady on the helmet and told him, "Good job, guys."
Now back to North Dakota State, Jesse. They want another one of those ball control drives. They want to seize control of the clock after that last touchdown march by the Grizz. Frazier is your running back behind Wentz, who has started out 4 of 6. He's missed his last 2. And they bring a little bit of a wrinkle from outside with Bruce Anderson, and doesn't fool the defense, and there's a penalty flag thrown in the backfield. Big Sky officiating crew. Montana, a member of that conference.
Hold.
So they'll take the penalty, the Grizz will, and they'll march off the 10 yards. And that puts it back to 21-yard line. And this crowd, folks, when they get into it, I mean, they get into it. First down and 20. Frazier chased down from back. Good pursuit by the Grizz defense that time.
You know, in the era of up-tempo spread offense, North Dakota State is old school. It is big boy football. They're pulling offensive linemen. They play with 2 tight ends and a fullback. Take a look at the size disparity between their offensive line and Montana's D-line. That's almost 50 pounds per player. It's an advantage they feel they have in this game tonight. They're going to continue today to mix and match bigger bodies and trying to wear this Grizzly defense down.
2nd and 15. 2 wide receivers. The Wentz is right. Looks for his slot man. Under pressure. Being yanked down. Again, it's Tyrone Holmes. And the Grizz come up with a huge turnover. Akron had the ball in his hand, but watch Holmes attack the quarterback.
So impressed early in this game with how Montana's been able to get home with only 4 players, and it was Tyrone Holmes, you see, who's got a grasp on Wentz, doing a nice job with his hands and his right arm battling for that football that was not tucked away. And there's the preseason All-American Kendrick Van Akron, a transfer from Hawaii, who plays with unbelievable instincts. Once again, Johnny on the spot, and just like that, Montana knocking on the door inside North Dakota State's 20-yard line.
Ellis Henderson has been quiet, has single coverage on the right. Gustafson brings the offense out just inside the 20. They come with a running play and counts to the 15-yard line. DeLuca, the outstanding linebacker for the Bison, comes up with the stop. He started in the championship game.
Provides a lot of leadership for this defense, Brent. Talked about Well, they've lost 2 four-year starters, a safety, 2 defensive ends, and 2 outside linebackers. They need DeLuca.
Coming again toward the heart of that defense and a tough run across the 10 for a first and goal for the Grizz. I'll tell you what's impressive is the fact that the Grizz are running against the middle. That's Brian Schatz, and that's Nate Tangway. Those are 2 returning football players down there.
I love the Montana Grizzlies, and I couldn't be
Gustafson
happier with my decision.
in trouble, sacked, thrown down on the 15, and that was Tangway.
I think the biggest concern I have for Montana's offense in this game is pass protection. A lot of inexperience up front. They've got some smaller bodies going against a big defensive line, like you mentioned. For 3 years, they had a quarterback in Jordan Johnson that could scramble around. I don't know if that's Gustafson's forte.
Second and goal. There's a draw play. Not going to gain much. This is going to leave him 3rd and goal across the 15. Tangway with 2 fine plays.
So here's that issue now. You're in 3rd and long, and you need your offensive tackles to step up and provide protection for this quarterback. A little bit shaky so far. This is a situation where you expect Gustafson to have to hold on to the football for an extra count. Can this offensive line give him time?
Pressure again. And Jones, there's the flag. The back judge finally threw it. Jamal Jones was trying to break free inside the 5-yard line, and he was held down there, and this will give the Grizz a 1st and goal.
Interference. Defense number 3. Spot foul. Automatic first down.
Now that is Dempsey, and he's one of the stories. They lost their 2 great safeties, and Dempsey now playing safety.
Yeah, well, he was a cornerback last year, and that's where he was on the island outside. It was a great route by Jones on the in-breaking slant route, just too much contact and a huge conversion for Montana.
Fresh set of downs, Jim.
No doubt, which is huge. But this is where that tempo really needs to pick up again. You can't take your foot off the gas down here. Keep it fast.
Continuing to run at the heart of that defense.
There's this misconception in this offense. They throw it 90 times a game, but they're going to take what you give them. And right now, North Dakota State only lining up with 6 defenders in the box. Montana likes the number count. They're going to continue to try and run, especially with a bigger back like Joey Counts.
Coach Stitt calls all his own plays, gets information from above. Gustafson slant incomplete. And that was a good play by Champion.
Jordan Champion, only 5'9", but he's so much fun to watch on film. Extremely physical, out-competed the wide receiver at that time on that in-breaking slant route. Here you go again now. You got number 6, Jamal Jones, their go-to guy at the bottom of the screen.
North Dakota State jumped into a press defensive alignment on it, and Gustafson changed up. Press on Jones. Here they come. Fires, dropped. Henderson couldn't hang on, was coming inside what looked like a decent screen on the right side, and that will bring the field goal unit on the field.
You know, Brent, that did look like a good screen setup. They looked like they had 2 blocks out in front of that, and if Henderson could have caught that football, he just turns north. I think he walks in.
22 yards. Daniel Sullivan. The Grizz takes their first lead of 2015. Well, a reminder that ESPN's coverage of the Arena Football League continues tonight. The 2015 Arena Bowl. The Sharks and the SaberCats clash. They leave it all in the field in hopes of capturing that championship. The Arena Bowl, Jacksonville against San Jose tonight, 7 p.m. on ESPN, and watch ESPN. Well, Jess, what do you make? They got a fresh set of downs down there by the 5-yard line. They couldn't get the touchdown, had to settle for the field goal. That has to give North Dakota State a little bit of a lift.
No doubt about it, especially when you're playing a defending 4-time national champion. When you have those sorts of opportunities to be the man, you got to beat the man, and it's those types of instances, down and distances, that you've got to capitalize on. I'd say that's probably a missed opportunity after collecting the fumble deep in North Dakota State territory.
Chris Leiter from Bellevue, Washington. He'll handle the kickoffs. Left-footed kicker. The Bison returned the last one, but remember, they turned the ball over. Only turnover we've had in this game on the fumble. So for the 2-yard lines, Perkins again. Good return man out to the 30-yard line. So Carson Wentz. Last year, single season ranks, and look at the records he took down.
Tons of pressure on him last year too, Brent, because he took over for Brock Jensen. He was the winningest quarterback in FCS history with a 45-2 record. No one was really sure how Wentz was going to be able to handle that pressure and the expectations. Had a record-setting season, won a national championship. Big reason why he's so highly regarded at the next level by NFL scouts and GMs and coaches.
Morlock checks in as the receiver, and that is Morlock, and he is slammed down, and that's a good first down tackle by Kose, the middle linebacker. We must point out that the Grizz will be without Herbert Gamboa today. He's serving a 1-game suspension. Somebody said, what happened? I said, oh, we got in a fight, and the coach said, wasn't a fight. It was a 1-punch knockout. So you miss linebackers like that. He's serving a 1-game
Well,
suspension.
he's their best athlete on their team. And this is the type of game you want to have one of your best players and a guy who has a chance of playing on Sundays in the lineup. They certainly aren't missing him.
Second down. In the last couple of series, this defense has played much better. Nothing doing for Morlock.
I think the strength of Montana's defense is its linebacking core, probably the best position group they have on their entire team. You saw Kose with a tackle 2 snaps ago. We just talked about the suspended Gamboa, and Kendrick Van Akron, who recovered the fumble last drive, making that tackle. These guys are ball hawks. They flash when you watch them on film, and they need to have a huge game against this offense today.
Nate Harris was shaken up 10-2, so the defensive back will head off to the sideline.
Setting up a big third down here, Brent. Obviously, the last couple series, North Dakota State has not been able to block number 91, Tyrone Holmes.
Ryan McKinley from Arizona checks in at that defensive back spot, replacing Harris for the time being.
And here's Holmes at the top of the screen going mano-a-mano against that left tackle, Joe Hegg, that you pointed out. This is a great key matchup between 2 big-time players in this game.
Wentz back on third down. Got the first down pass. Ball to the 45. King Frazier, the running back. The running backs as wide receivers have been really good weapons for Wentz here in the early going.
It was good protection by Joe Hegg on that last play. That time Holmes tries the bull rush here at the top, and just watch the anchor at the very last second putting his foot in the ground, giving Wentz that split second to get that football out.
Final minute of the opening quarter here in Missoula. You can see Wentz has to get right up close. Now he has to even tell the outside lineman what he's changing things to because of the noise. Try to sweep wide to the left. Tackled down around midfield by the 50-yard line is Frazier. Jesse, when you looked at last year's game at Fargo, you saw that North Dakota State attacked a lot to the outside, but then again, they had John Crockett as their running back, and he's now with the Green Bay Packers.
They sure did, but they did it in a lot of different ways too, Brent. They used Chase Morlock, they used King Frazier, they were using fly sweeps and jet sweeps. They ran the quarterback outside as well. They thought that provided their best advantage technically in that game. Haven't seen so much of it here early. The outside runs, it's been more up the middle for the Bison.
Lance Dunn is the new running back, and he's going to try to take it. And a beautiful fake by Wentz again, first down. So there's the running ability of the senior from Bismarck. So the first quarter comes to an end. And number 12, Montana, leads number 1, North Dakota State, by a field goal. The Grizz are happy, but the Bison are marching. Through the smoky haze, that familiar M on the mountain alongside Washington Grizzly Stadium, one of the great facilities in the FCS. As a matter of fact, one of the great facilities in all of college football. Seats 25 plus, standing room only in here today. They'll hit 26,000. Meanwhile, a 4-time defending champion, North Dakota State Bison, on the move at the 35-yard line. And on the running play, it's Morlock. Morlock breaks a tackle across the 20-yard line on the opening play of the second quarter.
Well, Montana's defense respects the Bison ability to run the football. You take a look at everybody on defense. Nobody's deeper than 11 yards back from the football. And the Bison continuing to attack outside, using that speed, using pulling running backs and linemen, getting Morlock, who had the touchdown catch earlier in the game. Having a big game, very versatile player. You'll see Morlock lined up all over the field. Take a look at this, just this defense. Well, guys get lined up closely.
Bruce Anderson, the freshman, running back number 42, could not get the edge. Second down and long. Nelson, the corner, makes the play.
The thing about this Bison offense, they're so multiple. They have so many formations, shifting in motion, personnel groups. They run conventionally. They run with the quarterback. They have fly sweeps. They throw from the pocket. They'll move the pocket. It's a good thing Montana had an entire offseason to get ready for the volume they're going to see, because preparing for North Dakota State offensively with just 1 week, that's really, really hard to do.
Frazier back in. 3 receivers wide to Wentz's left. Wentz keeps it all the way. Breaks a tackle, steps inside, touchdown Bison.
It's that running ability, Brent, that makes Carson Wentz unique. It's so rare a guy that's 6'6", 230 pounds, moves as fluidly and as well as he does.
So Wentz has now passed for a touchdown and run 19 yards for a second. Ben LeCompte makes it 14-10. You can see this beautiful run with the blockers out in front, and then a nifty move on the outside. That's what separates Wentz from a lot of running quarterbacks. A cut like that. Ooh, there's some Sunday boys drooling when they take a look at that. Well, the PBC invades Los Angeles for the first time. A hugely anticipated fight between 2 of the best Mexican fighters in the world, Leo Santa Cruz and Abner Mars. You know, fights like this one come around just so often, and it's Premier Boxing Champions presented by Corona Extra tonight, 10 on ESPN. You might want to settle in and grab a cold one and watch that. That could be a pretty good little tussle.
What do they call that? They call that the sweet science?
Yeah, sweet science.
Sweet science.
A.J. Liebling, great writer, Jesse. That is what he called it, the sweet science back in the day. Grizz will take a knee, Henderson, and they'll come out on the 20-yard line to see if they can answer that scoring march. Another impressive drive by the Bison. You know, some of my friends are saying, come on, it's Bison, not Bison. I want to tell you folks something. Those good students over there in Fargo, they've done some research. And the official title of the Bison over in eastern North Dakota is Bison with a Z. So when you go to Yellowstone Park, it's a Bison. But when you go visit my friends in Fargo, it's Bison.
And Brent, I was told that for the sake of our Twitter feeds and our personal safety, it'd be in our best interest to call them Bison.
Good.
As well.
We'll stick with it. They lead it 14-10. Gustafson firing underneath. wide open for a first down out to the 41-yard line. There's Jones again.
It's a nice design offensively, crossing routes underneath, and Trey Dempsey trying to cover Jamal Jones got lost in the wash. Small, short, easy, high percentage throws can keep drives alive, and that, of course, helps their tempo, what they hope helps wear down this Bison defense.
Going to throw it again. Way deep, nobody there.
That's a miscommunication. It looked as though Gustafson was anticipating a go route where Jamal Jones ran a post. These are some of the growing pains that go in when you implement a brand new offense. They've had spring practice, they had all of fall camp, but this is the reality when you have an entirely new system, totally different from what they did a year ago. Not everybody quite on the same page just yet.
Second down and 10. Running play, catching the outside is Wynn. Can't get the corner turn. Swarmed by the Bison defenders. And here is third down.
So again, a concern if you're Montana is pass protection right here. In the last couple third downs, we've seen North Dakota State and their defensive coordinator, Matt Entz, dial up pressure in these situations, try and force the football out of Gustafson's hands quickly.
Gustafson snaps it off. Grab at the 40 for a first down by Henderson, who dropped that one on the screen, and he comes back and makes the grab, and it's a first down.
Good pass protection up front. North Dakota State trying to twist and loop defenders to get them free. It gave Gustafson just enough time, and there's another example of that velocity and that arm strength the number 3 possesses.
Draw play. Counts. Nothing doing. Second down and long.
Go back and take a look at this throw again. We've seen a couple of examples tonight of NFL-type throws. On time, throwing it way before his receiver Henderson had turned around, but an accurate spiral, hitting his receiver right in the face mask, converting a huge third down. Been impressed watching Gustafson so far. Handling this environment, the way he's competing early.
Draw play. Just shy of the 35-yard line, where it will be third down and probably 6 again with Morgan and Tangway. Tangway has really been a force in the middle of that line. They're trying to make him respect the run so they can't just tee up on Gustafson. Got to throw on 3rd and 6. Deflected, incomplete. Good coverage that time.
Yeah, that pressure, though, getting into the backfield, forcing Gustafson to have to get the football out quickly.
Could be a problem for North Dakota State. Allison is now down. And remember, they're already nicked up back there. C.J. Smith trying to come back, has practiced a little bit, hasn't been out there because of that knee injury.
Oh, yeah, you see, going back and looking at that play, again, is crossing routes over the middle of the field, and it was actually friendly fire. Allison actually running into his own teammate. Just take a look over the middle of the screen. You're going to see the ball get deflected away by Stumpf, and then you see that leg whip, that right leg just kind of catches him on the left knee. That's something Bob Stead, head coach for Montana, is going to keep his eye on, trying to attack more inexperienced corners, especially in a situation like this. We saw him go for it on 4th down in his own territory, about the same down and distance. Here they are going for it again.
Got to have 6 this time. Gustafson had a good time. Slant. Inside the 10-yard line for a 1st and goal. Jamal Jones again. He broke beautifully, and Gustafson delivered it on time.
Really impressed watching Jamal Jones and the route running in this game. Crisp, that skinny post throw that had to be let go on time, and the arm strength and the accurate throw by Gustafson.
So with the hand signal now, Henderson moves toward the stack. They run right straight ahead with Wynn, and it'll be 2nd down and goal.
You know, this North Dakota State defense, especially in their front 7, we've talked about how they lost 2 defensive ends and 2 outside linebackers. They are still extremely physical. get off of blocks, play with gap integrity, very good against the run. No call. That looked like offsides. It looked like a false start. The right tackle, Reese, just stood right up and took a couple steps backwards.
No harm, no foul. Snaps it off too high. Wynn had slipped out as a receiver, and now down here in the red zone, the Grizz have had some problems. The last time they were in, they had to settle for a field goal. Here's your third down.
I think if they have a one-on-one situation at the top of the screen here with number 6, Jamal Jones, you got to take that. There's no safety help, and right now it doesn't look like there's going to be. I think that's somewhere Gustafson needs to be thinking about throwing.
Miss those two great safeties who played so well through the years for North Dakota State. Moved on. Snaps it off now underneath to Henderson, and that'll bring up another field goal situation.
That's the exact same play they tried earlier in the game, down close. Remember the last time Henderson had dropped that screen where it looked like it would have been a touchdown. That time North Dakota State, great job rallying to the football. Critical situations with your back against the wall in the red zone so far in this game, this North Dakota State defense has been impressive. And those are opportunities if you're Montana, you just can't afford to miss. You need touchdowns, not field goals, to beat the 4-time defense.
Ryan
champion.
Burke is the holder, and he can throw the ball. He's a wide receiver. You never know with Stitt what he's going to do. This time he'll settle for the kick, and why not? A 1-point game in the Smoky Haze. Coach Stitt, though, said next time we want 6.
The 2015 FCS Kickoff is brought to you by Choice Hotels. You always have a choice.
Hurling. That's a national game over in Ireland. I went once and I found it to be a combination of soccer, rugby, and lacrosse. 15 aside. And believe it or not, Jess, the University of Montana won the Nationals in 2014 and 15.
Wow.
They hosted and beat Stanford.
Wow.
For the championship.
Really? You know, I watched them practice 2 days ago. It's a violent sport.
It is very violent.
It looks,
okay?
People that don't know, it looks so dangerous.
Somebody said it was like field hockey.
No. Yeah,
it's not your grandfather's field hockey, folks. Trust me.
With baseball bats.
So North Dakota State will go back to work after giving up a field goal on the 5-yard line. The return this time, breaking free with a great daylight out to the 46-yard line. Well, what a great way to start the football season on ESPN with an FCS game that they can move a week ahead. All the big boys will be going. Start next Thursday. I know you've got South Carolina and
North Carolina. Yeah, we're getting excited to get that going. But back to this environment, Brent, you're right. What a big game. You know better than anybody. You've been talking about this matchup all off season. This really has a playoff-type atmosphere. The crowd, the fans. It's a special place. It's a great matchup.
Wentz. And you know he can run. Receiver wasn't open. He avoids the hit, slips out of bounds at the 45, so it'll be second down and short. Jess, I see this offense seizing control. I remember what Coach Kleiman said. He said, you know, we're not too sure what we're going to get with Montana. And the team that makes the best adjustments, in my opinion, is going to win this game. And I think right now that the Bison have made some adjustments.
Especially on offense with that outside running game. We talked about them having success last year in this matchup. And let's see if they continue with that. There's a lot of different ways they can get there, attacking outside the tackles.
Right up the middle goes Frazier. Daylight, 25, 15. Down to the 11. Nissen back on the field.
But at the end of the day, the inside A-gap power run is the bread and butter for North Dakota State. They run it over and over and over. Whether it's Chase Morlock, King Frazier, Lance Dunn, or Bruce Anderson, they'll continue to run that throughout this season. And defenses are going to have to find a way to man up and stop it.
1st and 10. and a penalty flag. False start on that play, opening it back 5 yards. You know, Jeff, I don't know about you, but in watching tape
Offense
of
number
North
78.
Dakota State,
5-yard penalty.
I will tell you,
Remains first
and I
down.
know they've beaten a lot of big boys in succession, maybe 5 of the FBS teams in a row. I was especially impressed that they were able to go into Manhattan, Kansas, and beat Kansas State, coached by a legend at Bill Snyder. But I've got to tell you, folks, I'm around a lot of teams, and I think this North Dakota State team can go toe-to-toe with. I think they beat a lot of the big boys. This is a very good football team. Now Dunn checks in as a running back. There's that screen to the outside with Shepard's first catch of the game to the 10.
And that's basically an extension of a sweep play outside. Just popping the football out very, very quickly into Shepard's hands with some lead blockers. This offense attacks all 4 corners of the football field, putting so much stress on an opposing defense with all the different formations and personnel groupings and different guys that can play different positions.
Trying to get this freshman going, and they bring Anderson, number 42. Wentz gets him over to the left side of him. He's lined up in the backfield alongside the quarterback. They think he has a breakaway burst, and they really want him to do something if he can. Wentz keeps it. Got a block, battles his way for the end zone, dives pylon. Touchdown. That's his second rushing touchdown. He has thrown for one. Carson Wentz is starting to put a clinic on here in Missoula.
You know, North Dakota State really struggled in the red zone against Montana last year. Only 1 touchdown in 5 trips. They didn't do enough of this. You can see the game plan different. Get the +1 blocking advantage with quarterback runs down here in the red zone, attacking outside, utilizing his athleticism.
Ben LeCompte, it was a holder who was able to get it down. Credit that young man, Cole Davis, down there from Kearney, Missouri. It was not a perfect snap, bobbled a little bit, and he was able to get it down, and the extra point is good. Man can throw, and oh yeah, he can run a bit. Oh, wait a minute. This is a setup, Jet. Did you do that? That's one of my old high school buddies.
You're not the only guy that knows people in Montana, Brent. I actually set this one up for you.
It's great, folks. Home game. Drive right on up. The lovely Bitterroot. I've been telling my friends we really do have mountains here. You got to take my word for it with all this smoke come up from Hamilton. Here we go now. Grizz will take a knee. Boy, they've special teams good. Check it down below now in Maria.
Brent, there's some frustration for this North Dakota State defense. They're used to leading the FCS in total defense because they have since 2011, but after losing 7 starters, you can tell that they're looking for a leader. C.J. Smith, their starting senior cornerback, is not in, and now Jalen Allison, he'll be back in the game, but he is struggling a little bit after taking a knee, so something to watch whether or not they can get the communication on the same page.
Yeah, exactly, Maria. The DBs are looking over to that sideline right now. The coaches are trying to wait as long as they can to get word upstairs of what the personnel is, and they've got it. And now the call down below by the Chris Kleiman. Remember, he was a defensive coordinator before he became the head coach prior to last season's championship run. So it's first down and 10. Wynn in as the running back. Play action too high. It'll be second down and 10.
Well, it's a challenge for North Dakota State defensively because they didn't just lose starters. They lost big-time playmakers, 2 four-year starters at safety. They lost the best defensive player in the country in Kyle Emanuel, who now plays with the San Diego Chargers.
We've got a coach out on the field about 10 yards, and the side judge had to get that North Dakota State coach off the field. He was trying to adjust on the fly. Running play breaks free with Wynn. You know, you can see just when the Grizz running backs are hit, they get moved back 2 or 3 yards.
Yeah,
the power of this North Dakota State D.
You know, and I wondered coming into this game with all this inexperience and guys making their first starts for the Bison, would Matt Ants, their D coordinator, really simplify and narrow the playbook? I got to tell you, it doesn't look too much different from schematically what they were a year ago.
The battle for the first down, and they appeared to get it with a second effort against Stump.
You know, the big challenge with inexperience as well is just getting lined up. We keep talking about the tempo at which Montana is running, and they're going fast. You worry about young guys that haven't played a lot of snaps getting aligned properly.
They're at 35 plays, but they trail at 21-13. Play action, pressure, going down the sideline, got a man open. I think it was out of bounds. That was Jones working the sideline, and he had about half a step.
Matt Entz, the defensive coordinator, tried to surprise Gustafson that time with a corner blitz, but young quarterback went to the right direction. It's a good throw, just didn't get that, or did he? Did that right toe touch inbounds before he landed out?
Instant replay, and this is the first time it's been used in Missoula. That's right. Now, North Dakota State, they had it for every home game. The Missouri Valley Conference, they're a proud member of that tough conference.
The ruling on the previous play was a completed pass, but the receiver came down out of bounds. The play is under review.
So now for the first time, instant replay takes over here in Missoula. Jesse, you thought maybe the toe did get down.
I think right there, that looks like that's down and inbounds. When I watched that live, I didn't think he got it down, in fact.
It's funny. I was with Bob Stitt down in Hamilton. There was a fundraiser. And he was all nervous about instant replay because, you know, he's up-tempo.
That's right.
It's just stop playing up something.
It messes it up.
Guess what? He loves this one.
Yeah, it's a great idea, isn't it?
Boy, where's this instant replay been?
No doubt. I'll tell you what, that's a huge, if this call in fact does get overturned, that's a huge break and a great play by Jamal Jones in this Montana offense. Finding an explosive play, just trading blows right now with North Dakota State. As you take a look again, from that angle, it looks like he does get that right toe down inbounds before any part of his body touches the white stripe on the sideline.
So they're taking a look at the angles. Jesse thought it was a catch. Let's see if instant replay agrees with Jesse. Jones made a very good move with that toe.
Beyond any doubt, and I think they have that on this replay.
Stitt holding his breath, but also checking the chart. Here we go.
After review, the ruling is a completed catch inbounds. The ball will be placed at the 38-yard line. First down.
Just a terrific move by Jamal Jones from Spanaway, Washington. He was born in Portland, Oregon, and moved to Washington.
Played for the Huskies.
Yes, he did.
Played for the UW and transferred here to Montana. He's been winning those one-on-one matchups outside. We talked about this earlier. If I'm Brady Gustafson, the more times I see number 6 lined up mano-a-mano, I think I'm taking those shots.
26-yard gain on the play. Play action, first down, goes back to that sideline, jump, touchdown Grizz! Oh, baby! What a catch by Ben Roberts, a one-time baseball player at Washington State. He makes like the center fielder that he once was before transferring back to his hometown. A circus catch, 38 yards. That young man went to the same high school as Florida Gator coach Jim McElwain. Sentinel High School right here in Missoula. And the Grizz will go for 2.
Love the aggressive play calling nature of Bob Stitt. Obviously, 2-point game right now. Certainly lots of game left. Why not go for 2? You've gone for it twice on 4th down already.
Gustafson back in the end zone. We're tied. A Roberts again.
2 big-time plays by the former baseball player. It doesn't take Montana quick. Doesn't take them a long time with the tempo they play at.
In the first scrimmage, folks, he scored the first touchdown on a catch just like that. He brought fresh life to the offense. They got the coverage they wanted, and Stitt went for it. Then he worked himself free in the back of the end zone, and we're deadlocked in Missoula. Text your friends. We got a good one. Welcome to Missoula, everybody. The skies even seem brighter as the Grizz bounce back and they've tied number 1. There's the quarterback. They threw the ball to Ben Roberts back there. Helmet off. Slurping down a little Gatorade. Got to stay hydrated on a day like this. Those players playing in these smoky conditions. Fielded at the 4-yard line. And again, it's Perkins, that kick return man. He's been dangerous.
The kick return right now and special teams for North Dakota State has been huge. They've had some big-time returns. Their average starting field position before that last kick was their own 38-yard line in this game, making life a lot simpler for Carson Wentz and this offense.
Morlock back in as the running back. He's a junior from Moorhead, Minnesota, just across the river. The Fargo-Moorhead area. Lead blocker, 6 minutes to go in the first half. They'd love to consume some time, but they roll Wentz on first down. Comes in underneath to a wide open receiver for a first down, and why not? They cleared that area out just beautifully and hit Shepard.
And that's speaking to the athleticism of Carson Wentz. You don't just see it when he has the football in his hand and he's running, but watching film, he's so good throwing on the run, both to his right and to his left.
Starts the motion. Now pound to the middle with Morlock.
It's going to be a running back by committee approach. Brent, earlier you mentioned they're replacing John Crockett, who last year set a single season record with 1,994 rushing yards. This year it'll be Morlock, Frazier, Dunn, and Anderson. And that's nothing new for Bison. Back in 2011, 12, and 13, they had dual 1,000-yard rushers, won national championships, and they're going to use that theory trying to replace this guy right now, hanging on with the Green Bay Packers.
Looked pretty good when I saw him. Crockett had good hands that night. Anyway, second down here. Elias and Bonnet in as the tight ends. Short drop, flash to the outside, and they use that Perkins speed. Not only a return man, but a dangerous wide receiver. One blocker and for well-designed play, and quickly executed by Wentz.
And it's good football IQ by Wentz at the line of scrimmage. That play is a running play with a bubble screen flipped and really baked into it. And Wentz has the ability at the line of scrimmage. If he doesn't like the count, if there's too much cushion on the receiver, he has the ability to just spit that football out wide, and he did just that. Good decision.
Lance Dunn, part of the running back by committee. He's at tailback on 1st and 10 at the Grizz 37. And they use the up man Morlock, who lined up as the fullback.
And there's proof that this is an old school offense. When do you see the fullback dive anymore in college football?
Bo Schembech.
That's right. You got to go back a little bit for that. That's right. When you take a look at the formations that the Bison use, 2 tight ends, they use different fullbacks, pulling linemen between the tackles, the fullback dive. They want to dominate at the point of attack. They are committed to that, and they do it in a variety of ways.
Second down. Still a different formation. Wentz this time is in the gun and has 5 receivers spread across the field. Offensive line holds out. Deflected, incomplete, and a great play in the defensive backfield by Nelson. You know, you mentioned the dive play. Brings to mind an anecdote about Stitt. First time he was talking to his offense, first time he met him, he was named coach in December. He came in and he had a meeting. Well, I'll get back to it. Take a look at it.
Yeah, this is a great throw. It's even a better defensive play, though. J.R. Nelson, 6'2". He needed all of that and his ups. Because if he doesn't get his hand on that, that is an easy completion to Shepard running down the sideline. That might have scored. Unbelievable defensive play by J.R. Nelson.
3rd down and 7 now for North Dakota State. Trying to rush 5. incomplete, and it'll bring up 4th down. Good defense on the last 2 plays. Rosendowski was the intended target. But anyway, so he had his offense around, Stitt did. And he said, all right, you fullbacks and tight ends, you can either switch to defense or move on.
That's right. We don't got a place for you here.
All right, they're going to go for it. Let's see. They're going to use a timeout. They're going to talk about this.
Timeout on the field. North Dakota State, their first charge, 30-second timeout.
I think you go for it, Brent. You've got Ben LeCompte, who was an All-American punter a year ago, but now he's your kicker also. And the last time he attempted a field goal in a game was in high school. Coach Kleiman told us coming into the game the 28-yard line was really where he felt most comfortable maybe going for that. So in that sense, you're kind of in no man's land. I think with the quarterback you have, I don't hate the idea to go for it right here.
You know, just the most dangerous group of plays that we've seen North Dakota State run, slipping backs out of the backfield as receivers. That has worked for a touchdown to Morlock, and we'll see what they come up with here. King Frazier is the running back on the right side. He has 4 wide. The offensive line's been able to hold up against the rush, so you can release the back, and it's 4th down. Lynch fires downfield, incomplete. Another outstanding play. Nate Harris shaken up early, makes the move in the backfield. The Grizz take over on downs. 3:25 first half.
We haven't seen Carson Wentz miss a lot in this game today. He did right there. He had Rosendowski running a comeback route to the sideline that time. Carson Wentz left the football too far inside. Right here at the bottom of the screen, football needs to be thrown outside. It wasn't, but give Nate Harris, the cornerback, number 11, credit. Good job breaking on the route, getting that left hand involved. Just got to miss this throw more outside. That allowed the cornerback, Nate Harris, to get his hands in there. And a lot of momentum right now. You can kind of feel starting to build on Montana's side.
Wynn's a running back. Jones is a receiver to the left. Henderson is down to the right. Deflected into Gustafson's hands. Completed back to the quarterback, and it'll be 2nd down. He gave up a yard or 2 on that play.
So it's hard to knock down a throw from a 6'7" quarterback.
Yeah, and
you really have to get up. And Ambrosius right there. Nice job.
You will tell the young man the next time you see
bat it down.
Knock it down.
That's right.
Knock it down.
Just dunk it.
High snap, handoff, and that delay caused a little bit of a wrinkle in there for Wynn, who makes his way. And I have to tell you, folks, this sophomore, Nate Tangway, 6'4", 285, number 99. Might want to keep an eye on him when he's down there in that defensive line. He is a load. Third down now. Gustafson comes in underneath to Jones. Jones is not going to get first down. 4 or 5 white shirts.
Now will Montana go for it again? We've seen him do it twice already. They just went for a 2-point conversion. Bob Stitt, true to his own nature, very aggressive.
He told us it's his gut, and his gut says
we're going.
Remember, he had all of his timeouts left, but he's going again. He's riverboat gambler.
Do they have the confidence to run the football? 5 in the box for the Bison.
Play action. They're going to throw it downfield and incomplete. Nacarado, the intended target, and now North Dakota State takes over.
Now, I'm just not sure if Chase Nacarado, if he had continued running through this, if he may have had a chance. You see Stitt talking to his junior quarterback here. Just going to be an in-breaking route coming from the right side of the screen. It looked like the quarterback took a lot off that throw. That should have been more of a line drive, thrown that with more confidence, and he knows it. He's going to put that on himself. Of course, head coach Bob Stitt knows it as well.
The growing pains of a new offense. Morlock, the running back. Inside of 2 minutes, North Dakota State with 2 of their 3 timeouts. Wentz handed off that time, and this will be 2nd and long. Morlock didn't get much. The defense was not fooled.
I'll tell you who's playing a great game is number 91, Tyrone Holmes. He's been all over the place. We've seen him pressure Carson Wentz. just showing great motor on that last play from his defensive end position, sprinting out to the sidelines, helping make a tackle.
The Grizz with 4 down linemen. One breaks free, and Wentz takes off with that seam. First down. What a great running quarterback. He's rushed for 2 touchdowns. Takes it close to the 20-yard line here, 116.
Design quarterback runs, scrambles, rollouts, whatever you need him to do, he can do it. Look, it's Holmes 91 again, supplying the pressure, but just great pocket awareness, 2 hands on the football with ball security, stepping up. Those long strides for a 6'6" quarterback. Montana cannot yet find the answer for Carson Wentz's legs.
Again eludes the pressure. Again, he's going to take off and wisely steps out of bounds to stop the clock.
And Brent, I want to mention, you talked about this earlier, how big not having Herbert Gamboa, the suspended linebacker for Montana, is in this game. Because in situations like this last year in the past, when facing mobile quarterbacks like Wentz or Vernon Adams from Eastern Washington, they would use him to spy the quarterback. His athleticism could keep him caught up. They could sack quarterbacks. It was a huge wrinkle for that coordinator Gregorick to have. They don't have him on the field right now, and Carson Wentz making them pay.
Need 3 yards on this second down. In the red zone again. The Bison have been lethal inside the red zone. Time stands tall, incomplete. Nobody could intercept it. Andrew Bonnet does a lot of things for them, was covered by Rasmussen. And Wentz wisely threw it over his head so nobody could intercept it. And now we come to third down.
And if you're Montana, you have to build a fence here around Carson Wentz. We've seen the last couple trips in the red zone, 2 running touchdowns for Carson Wentz. You have to be anticipating either a design call to the perimeter of the field or that pass rush. You have to stay in your lane with gap integrity. Cannot let him escape.
Bison leading rusher is Wentz with 72 yards. Morlock, who caught the touchdown pass for the first score, moves over to the left side of the formation. There goes Wentz behind Morlock. Run all the way, slips a tackle, dives toward that first down, and he's short of it.
Looked like Zach Peavy, defensive tackle for Montana, had a chance to make a huge play in the backfield. Somehow, Wentz didn't go down with that long 6'6" frame, stretching the football close to that first down marker.
Their second charge, 30-second timeout.
So now they want to talk about things. They've got a 4th down. We are tied at 21, 36 seconds on the clock.
I think with the size advantage they have up front on their offensive line, I think North Dakota State should go for this right here.
There is no indication that I see down below that they're thinking about kicking here either, Jess. Just what you say.
Well, when you consider that Ben LeCompte, again, not a lot of experience as a kicker, I think it makes it all the more. You got a 6'6" quarterback. If you want a quarterback sneak this, you can. Most important thing is you got to get it first. Game clock will stop, and you got to reline back up. You still got a timeout in your back pocket.
That would be an Austin Kunert, the new center, the only change with the offensive line, number 75 from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Power formation. They will use the running back for the first down. Morlock will make it 1st and goal at the 10-yard line. 31 seconds on the clock. North Dakota State with 1 timeout.
Looks like head coach Chris Kleiman wants to use that timeout right now.
Timeout on the field. 3rd and 30
so
seconds.
The Bison will come over and talk about it. Tomorrow on SportsCenter, hear the courageous story of a 12-year-old lacrosse player bullied by his friends after coming out. He forged a powerful bond with a former lacrosse star who had a similar experience. SportsCenter feature presents the Courage Game tomorrow at 9 a.m. on SportsCenter. So North Dakota State has talked about it here.
No timeouts left. Yeah, no timeouts. So 31 seconds remaining. You assume the ball's going to be thrown in the air here.
You burn your last time out if you've got a senior quarterback.
Yeah, see, that was one thing. I thought they had time to get lined up, at least run one more play before. But, tight ends, watching tape, these guys up here at the top of the screen, big weapons for them a season ago in this area of the field. Big body targets that can stretch it.
Dunn is the running back. He slips out. Wentz is not looking in that direction. Comes back inside. Touchdown. On 1st and goal, Jess, he went to Zach Vra, the young man out of Rosemont, Minnesota. He's a senior receiver, and Wentz likes hooking up with Vra.
Yeah, he sure does. Well, I'll tell you what, he's dependable. A 6-year senior, got an extra year because of a medical hardship, and he's just dependable on this in-breaking route. He's more of a possession guy. He's not a burner. He's not going to go deep down the field. Nice job on the route and a perfect throw into the breadbasket where only his receiver could make the play.
Ben LeCompte tacks on the extra point. Now remember, the Grizz gave North Dakota State excellent field position when they decided to go for it again on 4th down.
Yeah, and it was important for them to kind of regain momentum. We kind of felt it going Montana's way a little bit there at the end of the half, but getting this score going into halftime, if they're able to keep the lead, remember, Montana's going to get the football first in the second half because they deferred on the coin flip. So good guts. We've seen really Montana play calling being aggressive offensively with Bob Stitt there. I think that, going for it on 4th down for Chris Kleiman paying off twice.
Wow, 49 points already in the first half of this football game. Some of my friends down Vegas way can celebrate early, eh? Here we go now. Grizz will get the ball with 26 seconds to go.
We've seen North Dakota State with tremendous field position because of kickoffs. How big would it be right now for Montana to try and pop one themselves, get around midfield? 3 timeouts in their back pocket, the tempo that Montana can play at. 26 seconds is an eternity on offense if they can get it somewhere near midfield. Give themselves a chance for points before taking the locker room.
Just don't want to turn it over down there now.
You sure
Got to
don't.
be a little careful.
Yeah, no doubt. You kidding? With what we've seen so far from Coach Bob Stitt, he's got some ball plays lined up right now, I guarantee it.
Out on the 20-yard line. Special teams edge to North Dakota State.
Which is what
Kickoffs and kickoff returns.
Yeah, I think you expect that from very well-coached teams. You win 4 straight championships for a reason. You've got great players, but you coach these kids up as well. Play sound, fundamental football, offensively, defensively, and on special teams. That's showing up.
Yeah, we mentioned Jim McElwain, who grew up here in Missoula. He wouldn't play quarterback at Eastern Washington. We'll see him next week down in Gainesville. It'll be interesting to see what the former Colorado State head coach and Alabama offensive coordinator can come up with the Gators.
Yeah, there's a lot of fans very excited. He's an excellent offensive mind, but he's dealing with a lot of experience, especially on the offensive side of the football. Very excited to watch the Gators in week 1. Just excited to get college football back and going again. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. The Grizz on 1st down will run it, and that's the best run they've had here in the second quarter. John Wynn breaking free, crosses the 30-yard line.
Timeout on the 5th
for the Grizz.
University of Montana, their first 30-second charge timeout.
It's not too far from here. Jim McElwain went to Sentinel High School, as we have mentioned, where he was Montana All-State quarterback, and then he moved on to Eastern Washington in 1980. Turns out that the Grizz did not offer the hometown players scholarships back in that time, but there's his resume, and it's a good one. His sister came up and said hello. She works here at the university, and
she nice.
She was so nice.
Really nice.
So it's 2nd down and 2 now. Gustafson fires for the lateral. North Dakota State jumps on that loose ball. It's their football. You got 11 seconds to go now. You can out-trick yourself sometimes.
Another aggressive play call. This is normally reserved for the final play of the game when trailing. You get an easy completion.
There's a reception by
with a setup lateral.
Fumble and recovered by
with some contact. Lateral gets behind Jamal Jones. See right there, nice job on defense. Like Ambrosius, the defensive end, had dropped back into coverage, was able to get his arm on the receiver, on Roberts.
Out of timeouts. Wentz with that big arm. Has 3 receivers to the right. Defensive backs better get ready.
Pass rush.
Bison going to attack.
Yeah, pass rush better get ready for Montana here
and
as
they
well.
use another of their timeouts, the Grizz. So they're down to their last one.
Second charged, 30-second timeout.
Going back, taking a look at this fumble again. With Roberts had possession of it at first. He certainly did. He's controlling the football for the ill-fated lateral. Now if you're North Dakota State again, you know, Coach Kleiman told us that the 28-yard line was kind of his range for his kicker, Ben LeCompte. Just about 8 yards, or about 12 yards away from that right now.
Carson Wentz fires sideline to stop the clock, and he does just that.
Wow.
Beautiful throw to Shepard on that sideline.
That was an unbelievable, that was a seed right there. I mean, a laser ball, exactly what you want if you're North Dakota State. Basically getting you down to the 27-yard line and stopping the game clock, allowing your field goal unit to come out and take the field.
He knew exactly where he had to put it to give LeCompte a chance here with 6 seconds.
Big league throw.
The wind is a little bit behind him on this, too. It's a 44-yard field goal for Ben LeCompte. Pulls it to the left. So we have come to the end of an entertaining first half here in Missoula. College football season kicks off, and North Dakota State leads Montana 28-21. Let's go to the studio now. Chris Cotter and Brett McMurphy. Take it away, Chris.
Thank you, Brett.
75 yards in that first half. Line drive on the ground kickoff. Fielded at the goal line by Henderson. Henderson out to the 22-yard line. And let's check in with Maria.
Wants his DBs to be in tighter coverage, but also he needs them to play with a little bit more swagger, and they'll be looking to put more pressure on the quarterback if they can. But he said a critical stop happened at the end of the first half, and they were able to convert, and that's building the momentum for them in the second.
Now, this is going to be a very interesting drive to start the second half. Wynn is the back. Gustafson with those 4 wide receivers. And again, they start with the running play and absolutely nothing doing because of Pierre G. Tucker.
Yeah, Pierre G. Tucker doing a nice job coming up, making an open field tackle on a very, very shifty, smaller running back. Tackling's got to be at a premium. The inexperience on the field on this side of the ball for the Bison, got to make sure fundamentally they're sound.
Now motion. And again, stoned, and this time for a loss, brings up 3rd and down. That's DeLuca, the Mike linebacker, making his presence felt again, and he's the ringleader, as Jesse talked about in that first half. And so the play is quickly called by Stitt. 3rd down and long. The crowd has not returned. They allow tailgating at halftime here. Gustafson goes deep. He had a man underneath, wide open that time, and he went deep to Jones, and it's 3 and out. Advantage Bison.
Well, that's one way tempo's not going to affect your defense. If you can come out in the very first series of the second half and create a 3 and out deep down in Montana territory, with the chance to give the football back to Carson Wentz, and very, very good field position. Nice opening drive by this Bison D.
But first it's Eric Perkins. He's the return man on this punt. And he figures to give North Dakota State great field position. Some of those ruffians up front for the Bison intend to go get a piece of it. Fair catch at the 41. So pretty good punt. So the Bison will come on out with a 7-point lead. We'll take another look. Carson Wentz, and Jesse, probably some folks joined us here at halftime, might not have seen Wentz in the first half. Your impressions of the big quarterback?
Well, as advertised, we talk about him potentially being an early round draft pick in next year's NFL draft. The size, the combination of accuracy, of velocity, and his athleticism. Designed run, scrambling, throwing on the run, decision making. We've seen it all put on display. I think he may have missed one throw in that first half. He's played about as close to perfect as I think you can.
Lance Dunn is his starting tailback. Gets the first call. Breaks off behind the right tackle, and a big first down run.
And really, Carson Wentz got off to a great start. Short completions on the very first drive, getting him into a rhythm. We saw the running game open up play action passing opportunities, a touchdown to running back Chase Morlock. We saw him on the run and his accuracy and the velocity that he can deliver, attacking all corners of the field. And finally in the red zone is where he's done the most damage with his feet. 2 rushing touchdowns already. Montana has not yet been able to figure out an answer for the 6'6", 235-pound senior quarterback.
But this is not a good sight. The injured player down on the field. And we'll check in on this. And when you come back, we'll give you an update on the man down for the Bison. Starting left guard Zach Johnson, number 66, injured on that play. He's on the sideline. Zach Zemer, a sophomore, will move in for the time being at left guard on this second and short for Carson Wentz and the Bison offense. At midfield, leading by 7. Swinging wide with Frazier. Breaks a tackle and picks up the first down.
Go back and take a look at that injury to Zach Johnson. You'll see the left guard, he's going to be right here, and he's just going to be pulling this way, trying to get a block on the outside. And you'll see when he gets to make contact with the defender, he drops his left shoulder, kind of hits it into the hip and waist area. Just kind of stayed there on the ground. Running into Justin Whitted, the safety, and he's a big cog and an important piece of this offensive line. Missed last year with a knee injury. Crucial part to this physicality that the Bison have up front. They need him to be healthy.
Ball at the 39-yard line. Wentz rolls left under intense pressure. Incomplete, and it'll be second down and long, and the Grizz all over that play that time.
Well, Montana's struggling at stopping the run right now. They've already given up over 173 rushing yards, and at this front 7.
There was a receiver in the area of the pass.
In case there was any thought of that being intentional grounding, but this Grizz defense, they're going to have to bow up now. You see defensive coordinator Ty Gregorick clapping them on. They've got to be tougher. They've got to be more physical at the point of attack with gap integrity, fighting off blocks and making tackles, not allowing these chunk yards that we've seen on first and second down.
Urzendowski is in the slot to the left. They fire it to him with a blocker out front. Grizz were ready, and this will be third down and long.
Very good open field tackle by Nate Harris, now forcing the third and long, like you said. And so, pass rush. That was a bit of a question coming into this game for the Grizzlies after losing Zach Wagenman, who had 17.5 sacks last year. This defense had 46 on the season. Who's going to take that on? It's been number 91 so far today, Tyrone Holmes. Again, lining up against Joe Haig at left tackle here at the top of the screen. It's a key matchup.
Third down and 8. Wentz on a draw, quarterback draw all the way, and the Grizz stop him at the 35. And that is Connor Lepsock. Now he has stepped in for Herbert Gamboa. Lepsock, that name is a legend. His daddy's a high school coach back at Skyview High School in Billings. There have been 5 boys. His daddy, incidentally, was a captain of a Grizz team here. And now his son out there, 33. Got big shoes to fill today. They're going for it on fourth down. They lead it by 7. They need to reach the 29-yard line. Grizz trying to bring some pressure. Can't get to him. High, juggled, incomplete. Nate Harris again in that secondary with a big play for the Grizz.
We saw him have a big pass breakup in the first half on a sideline route to R.J. Urzendowski. So I'm on a big open field tackle here on this drive. And now in a huge size mismatch up against a tight end. Big number 88, Luke Albers, he climbs the ladder, cleanly getting involved and knocking that football away. 2 good defensive drives by both of these teams to start the second half. We had an offensive showcase. We might have jinxed them, partner. Not halftime break.
So it's first down at the 35-yard line for Gustafson and the Grizz. Incomplete, and that was a fine play that time by Stumpf. The linebacker got a hand on it. Second and 10. Complete. Short of the first down. Reese Carlson, Gig Harbor, Washington.
Misses that 4-down territory again. If they're being consistent, once they get past their own 40-yard line, they're in that 4-down mindset. Wouldn't shock me here if they go run the football.
Need to pick up a couple of yards. Did they bring him offside with a hard count? There's no flag. No contact made down there in that neutral zone. Defender got back, got set. Slip screen, can't get it done. It is now 4th down. Good defense by Champion.
And you see the defensive coaches for North Dakota State immediately yelling at their players, stay on the field, stay on the field. They're going to be going for it right now on 4th down. No surprise.
Oh, hold on. Wow. As I look across the way. Wow, did Bob Stitt... He had a drink of conservatism at halftime, huh?
And all of a sudden, North Dakota State's discombobulated. Their starting defense is on the field, and then they're having to line up in a punt return formation.
Remember what Stitt told us. It's my gut when I make those decisions. There's a penalty flag on this punt. Fair catch back on the 20 by Perkins. And hang on here. Let's see who this is against.
It's against Montana, judging by the reaction.
The reaction down here,
it's
against the Grizz.
Illegal formation on the kick team. More than 4 players in the backfield. The 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. First down.
So essentially,
the punting team just doesn't get much practice here, folks.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They don't know what the formation looks like out there. It's a 7-point lead for the #1 team in the FCS, North Dakota State. See, Jesse, in the first half, Stitt and the Grizz went for it 3 times. Twice they didn't make it on 4th down. They did kick a field goal the only time they did make it. But North Dakota State did get 1 touchdown. And then what happened here?
Well, you just got to have this guy line up on the line of scrimmage so you get 7 bodies across. But I think they fooled everybody, including you and me and the Bison coaching staff. I don't think anybody thought they were going to be punting on that play.
So with the penalty, the ball is spotted on the 25-yard line for Carson Wentz. He's 11 of 19, hit his first 4 in this game, thrown 2 touchdown passes and 120 yards. Threw for better than 3,000 yards a year ago. Great time. Going long, can't get a receiver open. Well covered, Shepard trying to break free on the defensive back. Sanders, Yeaman Sanders is a transfer. He could wind up being a player here, folks. Keep an eye on number 9. Coaches really liked his work during the scrimmage practices.
Transfer from Arizona. And really, they need everybody on defense to now step up. And these contested throws and man-to-man coverage like we saw just there. But this front 7 being more physical in the running game, this Grizzly defense, going to have to play a lights-out half of football if they're going to knock off the 4-time defending champions.
Second down and 10, base 4-3. And it's going to be 3rd down and fairly long. Frazier, the running back, the ball carrier, into the heart of that defense this time.
See that pile? It looks like it's starting to move more and more and more in favor of these white jerseys. That size advantage, 307-pound average up front. starting to now wear on a much smaller, much less physical Montana Grizzly defensive line. These runs that were going for 2 yards early now becoming 4 and 5.
Shepard checks in as a wide receiver, slotted to the right. Ran a beautiful sideline pattern in the first half. Third down. Looking at him, but he goes back to the outside man, complete for the first down. Urzendowski from Omaha, Nebraska, sophomore.
Of course, Bison fans will remember last year during his true freshman season, R.J. Urzendowski had 3 huge catches on that game-winning 2-minute drive to beat Illinois State in the FCS National Championship game. Plays way above, beyond his years. They really feel like he's taken the next step, have a bigger role in this offense, make more plays. I always thought as a player you make your biggest jumps between your freshman and sophomore seasons.
Morlock, the running back. Gets in behind the lineman, Zach Johnson, who's returned, the left guard. So he was shaken up on that play that Jesse showed you a while ago, but he's back on the field for that offensive line.
And it's big. You know, they call themselves the Rams. This is probably the most experienced offensive line they've had maybe in school history. 4 starters coming back, 104 combined starts coming into today. That's more than any of their previous national championship offensive lines had. Got 2 preseason All-Americans playing at left tackle and left guard. As big as they are, they expect to dominate every week they'll take the field this year.
Second down and 7. Down on the post pattern, incomplete, and he overthrows Vraw, who may be the fastest of the receivers. At least the coaches said that they might probe him deep, and that time they tried.
And now you've got another 3rd and long situation, so pass rush has to step up for Montana. More than anything, they've got to keep number 11 inside the pocket. Whether they're blitzing, whether they're stunting. They're bringing in Tucker Shy, a backup defensive end, to get 3 pass rushers up front, the line of scrimmage. Of course, big number 91 down here. That's where he's had his most success pass rushing today, against the right tackle, Leckler.
Terrific offensive line. Twist doesn't work. Wentz now in trouble, and there is a penalty flag. There may be a holding call. Referee threw it in behind the line. That's Landon Leckler.
And that's going against Tyrone Holmes, that we just talked about. He's struggled when Tyrone Holmes has lined up on his side.
John Wynn, the running back from Bellevue, Washington, back deep for the Grizz on this punt. Ben LeCompte, preseason FCS All-American punter. Drives this one toward the end zone, and it's going to be a touchback. And LeCompte is upset with himself. He wanted to bury the Grizz back deep, and he got a little bit too much of it. So it'll come out on the 20-yard line. Grizz with the ball again, and they trail by 7.
The 2015 FCS Kickoff is brought to you by One-A-Day Men's and Women's.
Just there's the Big Dipper ice cream. It's 1995, 20 to 25 flavors. You love ice cream. I'm surprised you didn't make the Big Dipper. If you'd have met my grandson, Bryce, he'd have taken you over there.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, I might take him up on that after the game then. There's great food here in Missoula. Burgers. I had the best chicken and biscuits and gravy I've ever had. That's saying something. Considering I went to school in the South.
Exactly. Wow. First down. Gustafson fires it to the outside. Good arm strength. Good play on first down. Good run after the grab by Henderson.
There's some dangerous athletes on the perimeter of the field that just feel like they're a breath away from taking it to the house. Number 7, Ellis Henderson. Jamal Jones, number 6, we've seen make plays here today.
And from the 31, running the draw play. Out to the 37, Wynn. Maria
Coach Stitt not exactly satisfied with the tempo of his offense. They're looking to speed it up during this drive.
And, you know, Maria, just as you said, I noticed that on that last snap, actually. So that was a very timely comment. Going deep, got a man! Henderson takes it to the house! 62 yards.
We talked about playmakers like Henderson that are one snap away from going the distance. Little play action fake, sucking linebackers and safeties up close to the line of scrimmage. And number 7, Henderson, got way behind cornerback Jordan Champion for a walk-in touchdown.
Sullivan for the tie. Senior kicker, number 5. Ryan Burke from Billings will put it down for him. 28 all. Game on for the 4-time defending champs in Missoula. Well, I've got a moment, Jesse. I want to welcome those who are watching the Little League World Series. Pennsylvania beat Texas on a walk-off 3-2 win. So congratulations to those youngsters.
Well, going back to that touchdown, it's funny, they haven't had crazy success running the football, but it's still influencing. Watch the safety right here. Just hesitate for a split second. That was Andrew Smith. That opened the middle of the field for Ellis Henderson. A great release off the line of scrimmage, off the snap behind Jordan Champion. Just nice stem on the route and just a burst. Accurate throw from Gustafson. And we've got a tie game again.
Jeff, that's the 3rd touchdown pass by Gustafson in this game, okay? He's 18 of 31 for 284 yards with this Stitt offense.
Yeah, really impressed, not just with him physically, but also with how he's been able to handle this environment. In his very, very first start, having grown up here in Montana, playing in this type of atmosphere on national television, the FCS kickoff with Brent Musburger calling the game.
Jesse Palmer, Maria Taylor, my whole SEC gang. Leiter will kick it off. It'll come out on the 20. Let's go down now for more of Maria on the quarterback for the Grizz.
Jesse was kind of talking about the way that he's been handling the pressure, and you guys should see him handling all of the huddles, the sidelines, really having a great presence. And we talked to some of the players on Friday. They mentioned the fact that they weren't sure. Maybe he was too nice to actually be the quarterback for Montana. But I got to tell you guys, the competitive edge is really showing up on the sidelines right now.
Yeah, Maria, what a great comment. You know, he's an accounting major, so he's a bright fellow. You got to be calm. You know, you'll probably be doing your or my income tax soon.
Yeah, if he keeps going, you know, yeah, he won't have time if he keeps playing the way he's playing. He might be busy for the next 15 years of his life.
First down and 10. Ball on the 25-yard line. Morlock is your Bison running back, and he'll get the call behind the middle of that offensive line. Worth repeating the names. Left tackle Joe Haig. Left guard Zach Johnson. Center, the newcomer this year, Austin Kunert. Right guard Jeremy Kelly. Right tackle Landon Leckler. And those fellows up front have had their hands full with one Tyrone Holmes, 91 from Eagle Point, Oregon, who has played one heck of a game for the Grizz.
And they've done a good job defensively moving him to both sides. He's never been stationary. He's gotten a chance to square off against both sides of this Bison offensive line. Keep them guessing.
Frazier, now the tailback. Long hand to him, and it'll be 3rd and short. North Dakota State trying to get that long ball control drive going so they keep the ball away from the Grizz. Yeah, that's the issue here.
Right, and it's plays like that. It's those power runs, bigger bodies. You see substituting another fullback on the field now. Got to give their defense an opportunity to catch their breath, too, with the tempo that Montana's playing at. It's important they stay on the field to give their defense a chance to be fresh next time they're out.
Grizz know they have to account for Wentz. He's a fine runner. Sear is in as the fullback. And Morlock right behind him. They have a lead blocker if they want to show power behind the big offensive line. They want to swing it out to the left. Great tackle. 4th down. Jeremiah Kose from Oceanside, California, comes up big.
And this is Jeremiah Kose's kind of game. Big boy football. He is aggressive. He likes to attack. see ball, get ball, and play downhill. Had a chance to talk to him a little bit yesterday. He was fired up for this game. Right in the middle of your screen, 45. He's not waiting around for Chase Morlock. That is an outstanding job. We talked about the talent Montana has at linebacker. Big number 45, Jeremiah Kosei, does a great job in the middle of this defense.
John Wynn is back. How big was that stop, Jesse? The Grizz going to get the ball right back now. LeCompte, run up, fair catch at the 32-yard line. ESPN's coverage of the Arena Football League continues tonight. The 2015 Arena Bowl, Sharks and the SaberCats clash. 2015 Arena Bowl, Jacksonville versus San Jose tonight at 7 p.m. on ESPN. So after struggling early in the second half, the Grizz put it together. They struck with that long touchdown pass to Henderson. Gustafson with 3 TD passes. Now has Joey Counts. And Jesse, you made such a good, they started to open up and it's dropped. He's had a couple of balls dropped here today. That one on a crossing pattern by Burke coming across. He's got better hands than that. He normally catches it. But they have to respect the running game. Stitt has let it be known that he will run the football.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's kind of a pick your poison. If you want to crowd the box and stop the run, they'll take shots deep down the field. You want to play big zones, they'll hand it off.
Sideline, out of bounds. That's away. Go right back to Burke and show he can catch
And right away, Gustafson has the play call. He's verbally indicating to his linemen what the play is, signaling to his receivers to get lined up. And they were immediately ready to go here in 3rd and short.
4:24 left in the 3rd. Montana, 2-touchdown underdog, tied with the #1 team in the FCS. And it's going to be 4th and short, and you know what's about to happen. At Levi shouldn't.
Yeah, last time they were here, they punted, remember? Yeah. I mean, we thought after watching that first half.
The defense is playing good, and but he's indicating he's sending some receiving personnel onto the field here.
He's got some big bite. He's got his middle linebacker, Jeremiah Kosei.
So he's got as a blocker,
in the game,
right?
yeah. Short yardage. What is
short
this?
Yardage. Hello. 4th down. The umpire turns it loose. Here we go on 4th and short. Will they throw out of this? Power. 1st down, Grizz.
Giving North Dakota State a little bit of their own medicine.
Big boy football.
Big boy football. And how about getting Gustafson under center? Bringing in defensive personnel to line up in your backfield. And again, rolling the dice is Bob Stitt. I'll tell you what, no matter what happens today, these fans are going to be excited about this offense for years to come.
There's no question. And now they want to pick it up. Wynn checks in as the running back. Play action. Gustafson drops it off to him. He had released from the backfield. It's a short gain. It'll be 2nd down and long. And I'm impressed with the reaction time of the North Dakota State linebackers.
Yeah, they still fly around. Even though there's a lot of new faces out there, you can tell they've recruited extremely well and developed guys. And that's what this program is. It's a developmental program. You wait your turn, you get bigger and faster, you plug and play.
2nd down and long. Play action over the middle, intercepted. Overthrew a wide open receiver. First interception of the game, and it was Nick DeLuca, that talented linebacker from Omaha. He is a force out there in the middle, drops back. The receiver was open underneath him, and the ball was simply overthrown.
It's the first mistake Gustafson has made so far in this game. He never got his eyes on DeLuca at middle linebacker, who's in what's called a Tampa 2 look. Turns and runs down the pipe down the middle of the field, taking away anything thrown into that area. And whether or not he was trying to hit the underneath receiver and just sailed the throw, he never had a chance to step into it, and that may be what caused that overthrow. Nonetheless, Carson Wentz back to work at midfield.
Frazier, the running back. Outside, and guess who's there, folks? Tyrone Holmes, a one-man wrecking crew. Number 91. Jesse, you and I enjoyed talking to him so much yesterday.
Yeah, he was really excited about this opportunity. His senior year, getting a chance to play the 4-time defending national champions at home on national television. Maybe a little bit of an undersized defensive end from a weight standpoint at 245, but he plays so much bigger than his weight would indicate. He's extremely strong and physical, and you've seen his motor all over the field here today. Huge game for the 4th-year senior.
2nd and long. need to reach midfield. And that'll bring up 3rd and long now on that running play with Frazier. A little bit surprised that they ran power on that, but
again, that's who they are. We talked about it.
Exactly.
You've got 3 D linemen, 4 D linemen, 9 D linemen, 20 D linemen. That's their identity. That's what they're going to do. And Montana's been crowding the line of scrimmage. That time, they had 8 in the box. So here we go, setting up a big 3rd and long. Wouldn't be surprised if North Dakota State maybe tried to move the pocket, getting Carson Wentz outside on the run, where he can be so dangerous.
kept Frazier in as a running back. There are 4 receivers. Wentz in trouble. Going down. Crittenden finished him off. Number 47, Greg Derek Crittenden out of Whitefish, Montana. Just up the road, not far from Glacier Park.
Carson Wentz looks like he's a little bit ginger jogging off the field. He's taking a little bit more abuse here in the second half. I thought it was number 51, Tucker Shy. Really kind of applying the pressure early. You see him right there, almost had a grasp on him. Nonetheless, good stand by the D.
Fair catch. There's LeCompte. Inside the 20-yard line with a booming punt that time. Another reminder that PBC invades LA for the first time. Really a good fight tonight. Two of the best Mexican fighters in the world. Leo Santa Cruz, Abner Mars, and that's tonight at 10 on ESPN. Premier Boxing Champions, presented by Corona Extra. They had one of those. Oh, no. There's a lot of good microbrews in Montana. I got to know. There must be 10 breweries in Missoula. Another few down the valley down there, yeah. Down Bitterroot Way. Here we go now. First down and 10 for the Grizz. Wins the running back for the Grizz. He gets the call, slashes off that right side out to the 24-yard line. And Jesse, what happened here with Carson?
You know, I just saw watching him. You see, you go back and watch this play on the sack. His feet are kind of planted. He's in that awkward body position, and something happened with his ankle just getting caught underneath the defender. Wow.
I think they're rewrapping it, I was told by Maria from the sideline. Is that correct, gang, that they're giving him a fresh wrap? Yes, that's confirmed from down below, Maria Taylor. So Carson Wentz is having some more tape.
Keep an eye on that, no doubt.
Meanwhile, the Grizz pick up a first down here. We're closing in on the end of the third quarter. Final seconds ticking away. We're deadlocked. Gustafson, another errant throw, and that was a miscommunication.
Yeah, and we've seen it a couple times today so far, and we've talked about the growing pains installing a brand new offense, but there have been times receivers have looked to maybe shorten their routes or cap it off, not necessarily go where Gustafson was anticipating, and these are wrinkles that'll get ironed out throughout the beginning of this season.
Second down and 10, and that's complete. It goes right back to Henderson. Ellis Henderson from Vancouver, Washington, and that'll bring us to the end of the third quarter. You know, there was a good Montana in that third quarter, and they struck, but there was also a bad Montana. But we've got a fourth quarter. North Dakota State 28, Montana 28. Most impressive number is the fact that North Dakota State did not score in the third quarter. As a result, we're tied at 28, but the Grizz right now with a big 3rd and 4 coming up here. Brady Gustafson back in the gun. North Dakota State shows pressure. Incomplete, and no penalty flag is called. So Bob Stitt with another big 4th down.
I think he's going to punt it. He's got his punting unit coming out, and I think, you know, normally he would consider certainly going for it, but Brent, I think you just made the point. The defense playing lights out all of a sudden. Maybe you have a little bit more confidence on that side.
Remember what Ty said to us. Because of the smoke, I'm going to use a whole bunch of substitutes all game long. He's trying to keep personnel as fresh as he can here in the Missoula air this afternoon, and who knows, that could have paid off for him a little bit. The punt is hung high to Perkins, makes the fair catch at the 20-yard line. So a little field position, and the football men out there in the crowd watching this, as you say, the smoke up on the hillside. For the better part of 2 weeks, folks, we have had smoke throughout all of western Montana. There's basically hundreds of fires burning over Washington, down in Idaho. We got a few in Montana, and we have a moment, Jess. We want to send our best to the firefighters who are out there. I mean, it's a very, very tough job. This is from over near Spokane, to give you an idea what those guys are up against. And folks, when the wind blows, these flames, when you have forest fires, they can jump hundreds and thousands of yards to the other side and trap these fellas. They do a great job. First down and 10 now for North Dakota State. Reaching for the handoff that time to Dunn, who's getting the call. And, you know, Jess, I'm going to say something about the running back by committee, okay? I haven't seen John Crockett. Okay?
Well, that's the reason they didn't have it by committee last year. I mean, that's what they had been doing 4 years until John Crockett finally took over. You don't get very many of him all the time, and the reality is they don't necessarily have a John Crockett yet. They're certainly excited about 2 young freshmen in Lance Dunn and Bruce Anderson. But Chase Morlock and King Frazier are battle-tested guys that can be productive, and that's what they're going to roll with early this season.
Play action, roll the pocket to the right. Throw to the underneath man. No first down on that play. Ilias, the tight end, slipped out there, and he was hit at about the 25-yard line. One other player I want to mention, North Dakota State doesn't have, and that is one of the best defensive ends I've watched at this level in a long time. Kyle Emanuel, a 5th-round draft choice of the San Diego Chargers. One of his teammates said last week, he don't look like a 5th-round draft choice to me. He looks like a 1st-round draft choice. Folks, that's what a force he is, and he's got a chance to play a lot for the Chargers. 3rd down now. Play action, roll the pocket the other way. Trying to find an open target, and a turnaround grab for a 1st down. That was nifty by Vraw.
Yeah, it was a good job of, firstly, Carson Wentz getting his feet set, even though that throw was a little bit behind. And then you see, again, Mr. Dependability, Zach Vraw, who's on pace to break every major career receiving record for the Bison. I mean, that is a bullet laser behind him working away from his body. Huge 3rd down conversion.
Interesting. Maria telling us that they taped the shoe, okay? They made sure it was dark tape so the Grizz don't see which ankle was twisted.
Interesting.
You can take a look at it right down there. That's how they retaped him on the sideline. But it was interesting that they rolled the pocket a couple of times now. Here he is straight back and fires a bullet to the 45-yard line, and Vraw again.
And Brent, I want to give people at home an idea of what this air really feels like. Of course, I just got here 2 days ago, and it smells like you're standing right beside a campfire. The air is heavy, and it's smoky. And I went for a jog yesterday morning. It really affects your cardio. It's something this Montana football team has had to deal with the entire 2-a-days and fall camp. And I was curious to see how it affects the cardio for North Dakota State coming in here, because this air quality is bad. It won't affect vision, but cardio is a big deal.
Frazier, play action. Throw it on back to him in the middle. Well executed play, and he breaks into the open. King Frazier to the 9-yard line before Nelson saves the touchdown for the Grizz. Very well executed 44-yard play.
So many different wrinkles they run off that inside power play. This is to look like their bread and butter run. They just fake the handoff. They fake a rollout and turn around and just spit it to the tailback, Frazier.
Jesse, I see Wentz not really limping, but he's favoring that one ankle just a little bit. Not a lot. I don't want to make too big a deal out of this. Morlock is his tailback. He's got a 1st and goal. And there's a penalty flag before the play. So if the coaches notice that, the one thing you're going to say is, look, Wentz has rushed for 2 touchdowns on us. It's unlikely that they're going to turn him loose as a runner.
This is where he's been most dangerous. Those 2 touchdowns have come in this area. Their red zone offense has been as efficient as it has because of his running ability. We've seen him roll out a little bit. We've seen some bootlegs. But is the coaching staff and offensive coordinator, Tim Polasek, are they confident enough letting him design run. You've got an unbalanced look now, Brent. You've got 3 offensive linemen here to this side of the field.
And they've got Dunn as their running back. Slips a tackle, finally brought down across the 10-yard line. Ryan Johnson.
It's just so much offense. There's so many different formations and personnel groupings. They've got guys like tight end Andrew Burnett and running back Chase Morlock that can play different positions. Your head is just spinning. If you're the captain of a defense, if you're middle linebacker Jeremiah Kose and you're trying to get people lined up, I mean, you better have done your homework and playing against this offense.
They like that one big run by Frazier. They brought him back off the sideline, and he's the running back now on this 2nd and goal. They give him a fullback. There he comes. Here comes Frazier off the sideline, picking his way, battling to the end zone. Touchdown, Bison. An injured Grizz on the field, and that's Jamal Wilson, defensive lineman.
Yeah, he's a guy they can't afford to miss, Brent. He's a starting defensive tackle. Boise State transfer. He was their starting fullback last year. You mentioned head coach Bob Stitt showed up with this offense. They don't have a place for the fullback, so they said to him, transfer or play defense. He decided he wanted to stay with the team. Speaks a lot about his character, but he's a big plugger in the middle of the field. 5'11", 270 pounds. I'll say this, anytime your head coach jogs onto the field to find out what the severity of the injury is, you know it could be serious. You know how important that player is to your team.
Bob Stitt, his first game as head coach of the Grizzlies.
Seen this play over and over and over again. Power, pulling the front side or backside guard. And just that weight, that push, the physicality of that offensive line just wearing down Montana up front. Running back by committee has looked good, I think, Brent, because it's kept these running backs fresh.
That's a good point.
Where John Crockett was getting the majority of the reps, good news. Jamal Wilson getting up, walking off the field on his own accord. But you know, we talked about with the air quality and how that it could affect, you know, the cardio for this football team when you've got really 2, 3, 4 running backs coming into the game at different points. Fresh legs all the time. Saw a good example of that by King Frazier on that last drive.
LeCompte, perfect with his extra points. 10:37 to go, 35-28. Well, King Frazier, he's from Greenwood, Missouri. He's a junior, and he's emotional after scoring that touchdown. North Dakota State visited Montana once before, 2003 in September. They trailed 24-2, and then Kyle Steffes pounded across. Then they ran the reverse. An 11-yard run for Burrell. Then with 2:13 left, here comes a fake field goal. Mike Weiser catching a 20-yard pass from Rod Malone. That was Craig Bull's first game on the left. Bob Houck, the coach of the Montana Grizzlies, did a great job here with the Grizz. And guess what? There was so much smoke in the area when they came over, they had to land in Helena and bus over. Today they were able to land when they came in safely here. There was airport was clear here in Missoula, so no such luck. But now they've got climbing back.
Huge win in program history, right? I mean, that win affected fundraising, ticket sales, recruiting. The very next year, they made the jump to Division I AA, and here we are years later. They're 58-3 in their last 4 seasons, 4 straight national championships. Had to start somewhere.
Take a knee, and it'll come out on the 20. Jones down. Let's check in down below with Maria on Coach Stitt.
Yeah, Brent, Coach Stitt in his first season, he'll flat out tell you that getting complete buy-in from the team wasn't easy. They're used to having guys from Montana being the head coach of the Grizz. But he did say that once his team realized that the way that he wanted to play football could help them get in the win column, he got the buy-in, and it took the offense first. Then eventually the defense did. And guys, this is a team that's really founded in tradition, and I know, Brent, you know from living here how that goes.
Yeah, exactly. They've had a great run through the years, Maria. They've made the FCS playoffs more than any other team. Won a couple of championships. Dave Dickinson, legendary quarterback, now calling plays up in British Columbia. And you knew Dave Dickinson.
Yeah, played against him in the Grey Cup back up in Canada. And he was a heck of a player. He's doing a great job calling plays. You know, Bob Stitt, really impressive, and his resume is impressive. 15 successful years in Division II Colorado School of Mines, doing it with engineers, kids that had 30 on their ACTs.
Second down. Gustafson going long for Jones and incomplete. You know, that was really good coverage by Allison.
Yeah.
Allison was shaken up in the first half, came back, and remember, it's that secondary, especially, you know, people know they're going to be attacking the North Dakota State safeties. They lost two terrific players who had been starters for 2-3 years for the Bison, and that's always tough to replace those fellas. Third down, by that time the corner did an excellent job. Third down now. Complete. Grab by Jones for the first down. Terrific grab to the 43-yard line.
Beautiful anticipation on the throw by Gustafson. This was a window that opened and closed extremely quickly. He threw it on time in nice, strong hands by Jamal Jones.
Showing that run play, not giving up with it, and that's Wynn, who's been their leading rusher as a ball carrier here today.
Just impressed with Gustafson and how he's handled this environment. It would have been really easy coming in here trying to prove to everybody that he's the man, throw for 500 yards, out-duel Carson Wentz, but he's played within the system and within himself. Really one bad decision, one bad interception. Besides that, he's been good.
Hit on the release, and I think that's going to be incomplete. Yes, it's signaled incomplete.
So Matt Entz, the defensive coordinator for North Dakota State, is now starting to dial up more pressure. Something they had a great variety of blitzes a year ago when they had so much experience at the linebacking core. Nick DeLuca, if you talked about Brent, a guy that's going to have a chance to play on Sundays because of his speed. For a guy that's 6'3", 244 pounds, comes on the delayed blitz, gets in a good shot.
The play is an incomplete forward pass. The play is under review.
Well, let's make sure that it was an incompletion and not a fumble, huh? I mean, that's what they want to take a look at. I thought with the naked eye that it was incomplete, that the arm was clearly, but we'll be able to take a look at it.
I thought the same as you, Brent, watching that live. You see Gustafson having a chat with Bob Stitt really quick. Taking a look in the pocket, where the football is and how his arm's moving. It kind of comes out to me when his arm was actually in a backward motion.
Yeah, I'm not so
I don't
sure.
think it was coming forward yet, Brent. Check this out. It's out right now. Before it comes forward, they might overturn that. And of course, you need indisputable video evidence to make that overturn. But looking by that, it was jumped on by MJ Stump. Yeah. So that would be a huge turnover for this Bison defense. Wow.
That was great by the coaching staff down there. They jumped out on the field to make sure that instant replay had enough time. Okay? To take a look at that. And I think they're going to, we'll have to wait and see.
You know, Maria talked earlier about how the coaching staff was frustrated earlier on the sidelines in that first half with Montana scoring 21 points. They have such a high standard. They call themselves Code Green. You go back to 2011, they're only giving up 12 points a game. With all the inexperience on the field, they're going to take their growing pains. But a couple key plays at opportune moments, creating turnovers, none bigger than that one right there, if this in fact gets overturned, caused by middle linebacker Nick DeLuca.
After review, there was a fumble on the play.
North Dakota State recovered that fumble. That's the third Grizz turnover.
Please reset the game clock
now
to 9:21.
9:21 left, you heard the referee. The first two turnovers by the Grizz did not result in any Bison points. But they do have the ball at the Grizz 45-yard line. They are up by 7, 9:21 to go. And it has been that defense for North Dakota State here in the second half, except for a couple of big pass plays on that scoring drive. They've done a heck of a job. Showing a variety of formations now. And they go to the power running game with Frazier, the ball carrier. They want to keep hammering on that clock now.
And I'm impressed that a place like North Dakota State stay committed to the run as much as they do. I mean, it'd be easy with a quarterback like Carson Wentz to just want to throw the ball 60 times a game because he's that good. It's the same dilemma that Stanford used to face with Andrew Luck before he was the first pick of the draft. But you are who you are. The running game is where everything starts. Good job by this coaching staff staying committed to that.
They want the clock running in their favor. Big boy football, Jesse called it in the first half, and that's what the Grizz are facing right now with North Dakota State.
You see Tyrone Holmes slowly getting up. This has been a very physical game for the front seven of Montana. They need to dig down deep right here, anticipate run all day. In fact, this could be 4-down territory. They need a stop. They need their front seven to bow up and play some big boy football of their own.
Dunn is the running back. Toss play. Here comes Dunn. Stopped, stoned short of the first down by Whitted. Justin Whitted, a fifth-year senior from Los Angeles, came up and stoned the run.
And a fantastic run defender. Watching him on film, plays recklessly downhill and a very good tackler.
They're going on fourth.
That is textbook. Put that on the reel. Little substitution issue right now for Montana.
Trying to get the right personnel on the field. They're coming fourth and short. Frazier's the running back. Got a fullback. Barrels into the middle for the first down. Behind Coonard, Kelly, Zach Johnson.
You know what's impressive to me is watching Carson Wentz and how much command he has of this pro-style offense. Just watch him at the line of scrimmage. He's changing protections. He's changing routes. That time, he changed the motion of his fullback in motion. And he's not peeking over to the sidelines and cheating and getting the answers from his coaching staff. He is in full control of this offense for the Bison.
And he's playing this on a gimpy ankle right now. Has the ball at the Grizz 33. Timeout. Saw something he didn't like.
Timeout, North Dakota State. Their first charged 30-second timeout.
Misalignment, and so they'll come over to the sideline and regroup. They lead it by 7. Tomorrow on SportsCenter, hear the courageous story of a 12-year-old lacrosse player bullied by his friends after coming out. He forged a powerful bond with a former lacrosse star who had a similar experience. SC Featured presents the Courage Game tomorrow, 9 a.m. on SportsCenter. North Dakota State leading Montana 35-28, 6:47 to go. They have a first down just across the Grizz 35-yard line. Senior quarterback Carson Wentz from Bismarck Century High School in Bismarck, North Dakota, in command. Hands off, and that's Morlock. Now, penalty flag is thrown. Morlock rams it across the 25-yard line, but there is a flag.
I wonder if that's a holding call. Looked like Joe Hegg, left tackle.
66 offense. 10-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Zach Johnson flagged on that play, and
that could be the break that Montana needed. On this drive, they've been getting moved up front. We talk about the fatigue. Air quality's bad. They've been on the field for a lot of snaps. They've already given up over 220 rushing yards. They have an opportunity here with a couple stops, first and second down, force a punt, get the ball back.
So it's first and 20. Fumble! Grizz recover. It's a Grizz football at the 43-yard line. They fumbled the handoff.
There was a bad exchange between quarterback Carson Wentz and true freshman wide receiver Dimitri Williams, who was coming across on a jet sweep. And there again, Johnny on the spot. Kenny Van Akron, second fumble recovery of the game. Check out this right here. It looked as though Wentz wanted to, in fact, pull that. back out of the belly of Dimitri Williams, only a true freshman. You don't wonder how many times they've had a chance to rep that in fall camp. But what a turnover at an opportune time for Montana. Down 7 points, get the ball back at midfield.
Pressure on the Grizz offensive line. Gave first down time that time, and they pick up another one at the 45, and that's Wynn out of the backfield. So the offensive line blocked well that time. Ball at the 44-yard line. Wynn slashes to the left. Battles close to the 40-yard line on first down.
Getting close to about 70 plays on the game now for this Montana offense. We heard Coach Stitt talk about the value of tempo and wearing down North Dakota State. Couple players now with their hands on their hips.
Second down. Gustafson changing up, making sure the lineman here. Going to bring Wynn again, and this is going to leave him with third and tricky. DeLuca, who's played a whale of a football game for North Dakota State. Third and 5. Sideline covered well. Battle catch. What a great grab by Ellis Henderson. The defender was right there with him, mano mano, and he comes down with a ball at the 12-yard line.
I thought watching that live, Brent, that Ellis Henderson may have run himself out of bounds. He didn't give himself a lot of room to run down the sideline, almost making it an impossible throw for Brady Gustafson. But then he comes back in bounds and high points the football over 5'9" Jordan Champion.
Out of bounds. He immediately came.
Brent, I think they're going to take a. Yeah,
they're going to take a look.
I thought so. I mean, I thought he ran out of bounds on his own.
Hold it. He's signaling go.
Wow.
He's winding it right now. The referee. Here we go. First down now from the 12-yard line. Wide open. Hits the running back Wynn, who's out of bounds. And it'll be second down at the 5-yard line. And now I'm going to raise an issue that we talked about with Coach. And he said again, it's his gut. If he scores here, will he go for 2 to take the lead? First things first, obviously.
Wow.
You got to get it in. Second down and 3. There's still 4:40 to go. Play action. High. Penalty on the receiver in the end zone. That will give the Grizz a first and goal.
Middle linebacker Nick DeLuca ran scot-free right at Brady Gustafson. It was amazing Gustafson even got that football out.
The North Dakota State coaches claimed on the sideline it was uncatchable.
Number 5 of the defense.
He's screaming
the wall will
at
be
the linesman.
At the 2-yard line.
He's down at the 15-yard line. So Kleiman went down. But to no avail on it. It's first down and goal. Take a look at this, Jess. Yeah. Kleiman was screaming about it.
Top of the screen. Is that catchable?
There's no question he thought it was uncatchable. But it is first and goal. And now it'll be second and goal. Wynn is stopped. And that was an outstanding play again by Stump. Stump's had a terrific game.
Sure has. Now we got a mass substitution for Montana on the field. Remember those big bodies from defense they bring in? There's big middle linebacker number 45, Jeremiah Kosei. Remember, spread offenses, not always the best running offenses down in tight.
You know he's got to pass out of it sometime. Now it is third down and goal. Counts couldn't get there. Terrific stand here by North Dakota State.
Will Bob Stitt leave the big bodies on the field again? Will he sub back in his smaller personnel? And it looks like that's what he's going to do. He's going to want to spread the field and put this on his junior quarterback, Brady Gustafson, making his first start.
Four receivers on this third down. A problem with personnel And somebody was trying to run on the field.
It was Johnny Wynn. It was their running back. Dropped his mouthpiece. Now they're finally lined up.
And a penalty. False start. That's going to back the Grizz up 5 yards.
56 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
We've seen issues Montana's had when they've done things they don't do very often. Issue lining up for a punt. This is a team that doesn't substitute very much. They really only have 2 formations offensively with 1 substitute personnel package for short yardage and goal line running situations. A lot of wrinkles that Montana will continue to have to clean up, especially in practice this week.
Third down and goal. But they're backed up just outside that 10-yard line now. 2 seconds to get it off. Gustafson too high, and now it is 4th down and goal. So we have come down to the big play of this game for both sides.
Bob Stitt's going to elect to kick a field goal here. Try and stay down 4, needing a touchdown to win. A lot of confidence in his defense. Really interesting to kind of watch his habits here, play calling. Very aggressive in the first half. He's kind of taking his foot off the gas a little bit here in the second. But as you mentioned, Brent, he told us, gut feeling.
28-yard attempt here by Sullivan from the left hash. And he pulls him back to within 4. 2:47, Jess. The Grizz have all their timeouts, but the champs have got something more valuable. They've got the lead, and they're about to get the football. They have rocked all day here in Missoula. They've been anticipating this game, well, for months, ever since it was announced. And as expected, they broke the attendance record for a single game, 26,472, surpassing last year's game against Montana State.
You just had a feeling the buzz leading up to this thing was just massive. Just around town. Unbelievable.
Perkins. 20. Another good return, solid out to the 30-yard line. 2:40. North Dakota State leading by 4, hoping to eat some time off of that clock, move on down and score. But most importantly, did this ball come out a little bit?
Yeah, it looked
Jess?
like it almost did. Sure, going down. You see Perkins going to the ground. Very, very fortunate to hold on to that. That could have been nightmarish.
Connor Stram from Eugene, Oregon, for the Grizz. Got a hand on that football. So here comes Connor Wentz. And the 4-time defending FCS champion, North Dakota State Bison. Frazier checks in behind the massive offensive line. Stopped at the 33 by Wilson, who's back. Good to see for the Grizz that he's back on the field.
No timeout from Montana. Defensive coordinator Ty Gregorick, he's right there on the field, standing right beside the referee in case they need to let one go. He's watching the clock anxiously. Of course, North Dakota State now, they're going to milk this, snap it with very little time left on the play clock. Try and suffocate Montana.
Play action, roll to the right. Wentz has to drop it off, basically throw it away, and here comes 3rd down. Bob Stitt got what he wanted. 3rd down and long.
And that's, of course, the gamble when you have a pass play on 2nd down like that. You potentially stop the clock and you help Montana keep a timeout. Now what do you do? If you're North Dakota State and you were about to hear this crowd, you talked about that record crowd, it's about to come alive.
Knowledgeable noise, folks. 3rd and 7 for the opponents. This stadium rocks. Wentz has time. Far side, incomplete. And North Dakota State is forced to punt.
Tremendous coverage again by J.R. Nelson, one-on-one outside. We've seen both he and Nate Harris play very well in coverage for the most part of this game, and that's the dream scenario. They didn't have to spend one timeout. They force a 3-and-out, and they're going to get the football back with an eternity of time for Gustafson.
Here's LeCompte, drilling one. Wynn lets it go toward the end zone. Touchback. So, when we come back after that 67-yard punt, there will be a minute and 39 remaining for the Grizz. A minute 39 left. The Grizz down by 4. North Dakota State with a freshman free safety, Robbie Grimsley. He's at strong safety, make it. Hutchinson, Minnesota, is back deep. Gustafson drops it in underneath. And out to the 26-yard line is running back Wins.
Looks like North Dakota State defensively going to play big zone coverages and try and keep the football in front of them.
Try not to give up the big play. So Gustafson and the Grizz will attack underneath. That's a first down at the 31-yard line. Clock stops briefly. Carlson caught that. 1:16 remaining. After the first down, of course, there's a brief stoppage in the college game. The receiver and the quarterback not on the same page. Jones, the receiver.
I think Montana's done their most damage in the passing game outside, throwing to Jamal Jones and Ellis Henderson. And every time these North Dakota safeties rock and roll and there's only one safety in the middle of the field, he's looking out here and he's looking up top.
On 2nd and 10, Gustafson takes off, slides to the 35. Crowd thought it should have been a late hit when he went down, but there was no indication for the officials down there. Brady now bent over just a little bit, and
looks like Jamal Jones is down on the field.
Oh, Jones is down.
Yeah, that's a guy right now Montana cannot afford to lose. That might be a good thing also for Brady Gustafson, because he just took a monster shot on that last play by Nick DeLuca. May just need a couple seconds to get the cobwebs removed from his head. Take a look. Looks like he starts himself to slide right at the last second. Every time I see that, when you watch that live, of course, you always wonder about the potential of a potential targeting call on a defenseless player, quarterback, giving himself up. He lowers the head, but I thought watching it live, it looked like maybe that contact was initiated with his shoulder pad to the head, with the arm to the head neck area of Brady Gustafson.
Jones shaken up right there. As you can see, he gets into the fray late. He is up and walking off under his own power, but of course under rule, he has to go out for at least one play, and a big play it is. 3rd down and 6 yards to go. We have just rolled inside of a minute here in Missoula. 59 seconds to go. Roberts caught a touchdown pass earlier, is down to the bottom of your screen. He's on the right. Looking that way, throwing high, and there's the flag. He got the first down on Champion. Ben Roberts, who caught a touchdown pass and a 2-point conversion with a fine play that time, drawing the interference. So it'll be first down.
And it's an easy call, Brent. I mean, Jordan Champion, only 5'9", 189 pounds. He's having a hard time matching up with these bigger wide receivers, especially 6'4" Ben Roberts. You'll just watch this right here. He just grabs him with both arms. You see the jersey. At minimum, that's defensive holding.
55 seconds, and Jones back on the field. He's to the right of the formation. Gustafson looking downfield, got a man open down that far side, and now the safety comes over. Incomplete is the call. Henderson had broken free, but he got help over the top by Trey Dempsey. Remember, he was a corner a year ago. Dempsey picked him up late.
Gustafson took a massive shot on this. Watch the quarterback here. He buys time working to his left. 2 defenders projectile into his body. Gustafson very slow to get up. His toughness being tested here on this final potential game-winning drive.
47 seconds and 2nd and 10. Snaps it off. Jones can't hang on. He was kind of turned around on the play. It would have been a terrific catch.
Well,
but that will bring up another 3rd down. Yes.
Yeah, I like the idea by North Dakota State helping out Jordan Champion, these smaller, inexperienced cornerbacks that are having to play with safety help. That time, the true freshman, Robbie Grimsley, getting over. They're going to do it again right here. See if you can get home with 4 guys, play big coverage.
Fired to Jones, 1st down. Stops the clock at the 44-yard line with 40 seconds to go.
So they're going to clock it.
They did just that. They have 35 seconds remaining.
Go back and take a look at this last in route and this throw by Gustafson. A lot of cushion that time given by Jordan Champion. Gave Jamal Jones a free, clean release to get upfield and get his proper depth. When the throws haven't been contested, the timing for Montana between the quarterback and receivers has looked good. I think it's important North Dakota State, even with safety help, get up and jam these receivers and try to disrupt that time.
Incomplete. Win the target.
I think it's a little bit of the inexperience from Gustafson right there. You know, throwing to running backs, especially when they're that close to you, got to take a little bit off the throw. It's not like wide receivers, even though John Gwynn has great hands, just kind of understanding the type of throw necessary. That's one he'd like to have back.
3rd down and 10 now, 31 seconds remaining. Hit on the release, deflected, incomplete, and that was DeLuca. What a great game DeLuca has played.
He's been all over the place.
For the Bison.
No doubt. You know, right now, Matt Entz, the defensive coordinator for the Bison, is doing a good job. He's running the same coverages, but he's doing it in different ways, trying to confuse Gustafson in his first start.
Here's your ball game.
If I'm the Bison, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't blitz. I would sit back, play coverage, jamming the receivers. Of course, Gustafson has fitted into a small window somewhere.
4th down. Gustafson got a man in the middle of the field. 1st down at the 15. It's Reese Carlson. 21 seconds on the clock.
The windows don't get much smaller than that, and Gustafson delivers with a beautiful touch throw down the middle of the field. Wow.
Did you want him to clock it again, or timeout has been called? Montana, after that 31-yard gain, to give themselves a chance.
Attacking the middle of the field. One throw that Gustafson's really been trying to work on are his touch throws over top of defenders. That time he got it over top the outstretched arms of MJ Stump. Beautiful touch. Could be those are some of the hardest throws a quarterback has to make. With a big freshman, Reese Carlson at 6'4". Bob Stitt fired up. Clock, no. Timeout, yes.
Yes, he did that on 4th and 10.
Unbelievable. Just the composure by Brady Gustafson, how he's handled this environment.
The Grizz have 1 timeout remaining. The ball is around the 13-yard line of the Bison. 21 seconds remaining. Gustafson on the slant. Down to the 1-yard line is Henderson. 18 seconds on the clock. Let's see if he clocks this. He does. They've got 15 seconds remaining. They are down by 4.
And Brent, they struggled the last time they were in this area of the field. Remember, they brought on the big substitution package, which they just have done again. The short yardage goal line running, certainly not their bread and butter.
Robert Luke, the center. Max Kelly, Devin Dietrich are the guards. Reese and Schmang are the tackles. And now it is North Dakota State. And Coach ran all the way down into that end zone. He's huffing and puffing and there's smoke going back. He ran down there when he saw the personnel. This is ball game time here, folks.
And what an unbelievable football game this has been.
You know, just record crowd here, right? 26,472. There's probably 27,000 in here right now, okay? They've come off the streets after they opened up the gates.
Absolutely.
Let them go out for, you know, a little more tailgating at halftime. Unbelievable football game to start this season. What a year shapes up, not just in the FCS, which we're watching, but the FBS. It's underway on Thursday, full schedule on Saturday, and away we go. Gustafson up underneath center now. Play action, throws high and incomplete. The receiver was covered that time, so wisely he threw it high.
Well, that's a middle linebacker.
Kosei
too.
Slipped out as a receiver, and they were on him.
Well, you knew they had a pass play dialed up from that formation. They hadn't shown it quite yet, but again.
Great timeout by Kleiman. He might have reminded them, be careful. Here's the handoff over the top toward the end zone. Battling for it. North Dakota State said no, he's short. He is short. That was counts over the top. 3 seconds left.
That was heads up by the quarterback, Brady Gustafson. He went and found the referee right away while that play was being decided. And got that timeout call to save 3 seconds left on the clock.
Please reset the game clock to 6 seconds.
6 seconds now.
Wow. There's Joey Counts. He's missed the last 2 years because of injury, just trying to go over the top. It looked like he might get a second surge right when he's at the top. His forward momentum hadn't yet stopped. Of course, it matters where the football is, not where his head is. He did not make it in. This North Dakota State front seven being extremely physical here late in this game with the game on the line. Wow.
So, Coach Stitt, welcome to the FCS. You're the play caller, my friend. You've got 6 seconds. It's a 4th and goal, and you make the call.
I'm not running it. I'm getting out of that big formation. I think he needs to do what he does, spread out, put the ball in the hands of Brady Gustafson. You got a one-on-one with Ellis Henderson or Jamal Jones, maybe a jump ball to a 6'4" Ben Roberts, but they're going to stay in the big group. The game on the line. Look, another timeout. You see Chris Kleiman. He is sprinting down the sideline. It's the most he's worked out in years. Gassers.
Coach Kleiman.
Dakota State. 3rd and final 30-second timeout.
You could just feel the anticipation. Look at Chris Kleiman here. Wait a minute. Wait, nope.
I got to call time.
Give me one.
They stayed with that personnel. I've got to call time.
There you go. Good burst, though.
Yeah,
first 10 yards.
You know, he's
really
in shape to
quick
come down
twitch.
there twice like that.
The quick twitch is impressive.
That's impressive.
That is impressive.
And in fact, that's a very impressive organization he's put together over there. They've done a wonderful job to North Dakota State. Yeah, the Grizz had it rocking and rolling for about a decade, as everybody knows. And North Dakota State stood up, and I don't care what sport, I don't care what division. 4 straight national championships.
Unbelievable.
It is. I was thinking, you know, I got to go back to my days with John Wooden. I know little Augustana, I think Division III did it, had it going for a while. Here we go, folks. Ball game. 4th and goal. Touchdown, Montana! Seconds remaining. Joey Counts with the touchdown. The Grizz 2 seconds away from a remarkable upset. Brady Gustafson, the quarterback. Sullivan. It's a 3-point lead.
Well, we talked about that defensive personnel. Caleb Kidder, number 37, normally a defensive tackle. He's in the game playing tight end. He got a great block on the outside that gave Joey Counts some wiggle room. It's so big for Montana to get number 21 back on the field, firing up Bob Stitt. You know, Joey Counts, he's their biggest running back at 215 pounds. And they needed him at that moment. What a first game for Bob Stitt. For Brady Gustafson, his first start, and Chris Kleiman, he's not used to this. Could not have been any better for the Montana native Gustafson, playing in this atmosphere with this much attention, this much pressure against this opponent. Crowd is going crazy, and I get it.
Let's see if North Dakota State goes to a lateral play. I want to point out that Perkins has created havoc with his kickoff returns in this game so far. So they're going to get the kickoff. It'll be the last play of the game. The Grizz going 80 yards in 16 plays. And downtown Missoula, if this holds, get ready.
You know, a couple spots for later.
I got one down the way of my home.
What a football game. What a way to kick off college football. Not just the FCS, college football.
They kick it short. They don't want the deep man to handle it. Ball's loose. Montana upsets North Dakota State. Welcome to the Bob Stitt era. He's so heighted, happy, he's jumping around, lifting players up himself. And as for Coach Kleiman and the Bison, do not count this team out. There's a lot of time left, a lot of football to go, and that's a good-looking football team over there in Fargo, and I'm very impressed with this coaching staff. I know they're down now, but they'll live to fight another day. As for Stitt, as unorthodox as he was much of the time, especially in the first half, he stuck with it, went to the elephant offense, if you will, down there, and got the winning touchdown on an 80-yard drive. Just a great effort by a whole lot of players on these two teams, guys.
And a tremendous showcase. A showcase for the FCS between two of the most successful programs in FCS
Here's what
history.
I want to tell you, okay? He told us if he got 90 snaps, he'd win the game.
How many they get?
Folks, 92 snaps. And it was the 92nd one that won the game for him. Goalposts are being lowered so that they're not torn down. Check in with Maria. Maria.
Well, Coach, welcome to the FCS. You got to take me down. Back to 6 seconds left on the clock, and it was 4th down. What's going through your mind with the opportunity to win the game?
You know, we only had a couple plays that we were going to consider, and we ran them both, and our guys just wanted it. I thought about changing the last one. They said, Coach, just run ISO. We'll get it in.
I don't think you could have written a better storybook ending to your very first game in Division I football. How does it measure up to your expectations?
It's unbelievable. It hasn't sunk in. These kids have prepared. It's been a long process of preparing them to get to this point. And, man, we're going to celebrate.
All right, congratulations, Coach.
I may call in sick tomorrow.
He's calling in sick, Brent.
You bet, Maria. And he and the rest of his coaching staff deserve it. Just a tremendous effort. And to the fans here in Missoula, well, they showed the country today just how boisterous they can be. 38-35, an upset for the ages. The Grizz prevail. The Arena Bowl is next. So long, everybody.